Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Granted, some of that might have to do with some cameras in the outfield.
Wasn't that a movie back in the 90s?
Yeah, the former wedding videographer who had video technology to help the Angels win a pennant.
Danny Glover and Bridget Fonda as the scrappy outsider.
The scrappy team owner's daughter was also happened to be a great base running coach.
Steve Buscemi was the IT guy.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, September 29th, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you, and with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, gentlemen.
How the hell are both of you on this fine evening?
Aloha.
I'm okay. A little tired.
A little tired. Were you? Did you have a busy week?
I did. Yes, I was on tour with the Black Crows.
Yes. I remember I saw you on Saturday.
That is tiring.
Playing drums.
It is.
For the Black Crows.
That'd be a good gig. I could probably pull that off pretty easily.
It would work. Yeah, why not? Go for it. Give it a try. So,
their drummer is actually a pretty good drummer.
Is he?
Forget who it was. I don't think he's any. I think only Chris Robinson is with the Black Crows now.
Pete, didn't you drum for the Black Crows for a while?
A couple of minutes, yeah.
I did play a show with one of the guitarists from the Black Crows back in the day.
There you go.
The other guy.
And the lead singer of Brittany Fox.
Would that be Brittany Fox?
It was not named Brittany.
No, I forget what they were called. Oh, they were called Black Eyed Susan.
Black Eyed Susan. There.
That would have been a great tour, wouldn't it?
Isn't that a flower?
Brittany Fox.
Yes, it is.
Brittany Fox?
No, not Brittany Fox.
No, this was way after 1985. It was probably 1992.
Sure, why not? There you go. That's
what I was going to say is any drummer who's sort of playing professionally with a band, they're probably pretty good, right?
Yeah, but they're all pretty good. He had he wrote a memoir of the guy who played for them. I can't remember his name right now. I'm drawing a blank, but he was kind of like Tom Petty's drummer for Stan Lynch. They just had this kind of groove to them. They weren't these tight kind of on the one kind of players. They were good. They were great for the music. They kind of let it wiggle around a little bit, which I think is
wiggle around just a little bit.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where you just connect with somebody and
right.
What you kind of feel like what you should play is what they're also thinking sounds good. And that's exactly how I heard it in my head. And I go, well, that's just what came to me. And so
that's
sometimes you have that kind of little psychic connection.
That's a good, when you have that connection, that's good. Absolutely. Hey, I got a question for you guys.
Yes.
What's green, fuzzy, has 4 legs, and will kill you if it falls out of a tree?
Kermit the Frog on a bender.
Nope. Pete?
Kermit the Hippo.
No, that would be a pool table, actually.
Oh, all right.
A pool table, yes. No, bad. No, I'm sorry.
Steve Gorman, by the way, is the name of the drummer for the Black Crows.
I heard he's pretty good.
And his memoir is supposedly very good. So there's a free plug for Steve Gorman. You're Steve Gorman, drummer of the day.
Absolutely.
If you want to know the inside scoop on the Black Crows,
just talk to Steve Gorman.
Steve Gorman, I believe, was also a second baseman for a AAA Oakland A's squad.
Same guy, though, right?
Yes, same guy.
He's busy. He's pulling double duty.
That's right.
Anyway, well, that's interesting.
Exciting opening.
It is.
So I think the pool table joke, if you said, what was it? What's green, fuzzy?
What's green, fuzzy, has 4 legs, and will kill you if it falls out of a tree.
Okay, what's green, fuzzy, has 4 legs and balls.
There you go.
And a lot of balls.
Yeah.
I am going to say that this joke has no legs and that it should be abandoned immediately.
I heard it earlier. I just wanted to,
I thought it was
piss everybody else off with it.
I'm guessing it was your father told you.
No.
Okay.
I saw it online somewhere.
Maybe it's that Milwaukee pitcher's playoff aspirations.
It could be. Could very well be.
Punchy. What's his last name? Nevins or
Punchy Nevins.
Punchy Nubbins.
Punchy Nubbins.
He's definitely on our list tonight.
He's got to be on that list.
For what his name is.
More on him later.
But that's his nickname.
That's my TikTok handle.
Punchy Nubbins.
Punchy Nubbins.
Gotta love it.
Just wait till you see me do.
That's your TikTok handle or your OnlyFans handle?
Both. Yeah.
We use them everywhere. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It's a multiple usage.
You gotta get them into OnlyFans through TikTok.
This is true. Yeah. You gotta have something that draws them. Absolutely. I got you.
You gotta do it all. You gotta tweet. You gotta twat. You gotta do the TikTok. You gotta
don't forget Snapchat.
Snapchat, or MySpace.
Yeah. MySpace. Holy shit. Is that still around? It's only for bands now, isn't it?
It was. I think at the time it was only for bands, but I don't even know how to. The band has a MySpace account. I don't know how to get into it.
I had a MySpace account about 16 years ago, and I could not even tell you how to get into it. So
I think somewhere there's a server.
It's going to come back.
All of MySpace on it. Somebody's like hoarding
the whole server.
Right now, there's a bunch of hipsters on MySpace listening to cassette tapes that they made.
Exactly.
I'm serious.
No, I'm sure you're right.
Devin Williams, by the way, is the guy's name.
Devin Williams.
Devin Williams, yeah. But Punchy Williams, I think, works well.
Punchy Nubbins?
Punchy Nubbins.
Punchy Williams.
I like Punchy Nubbins much better.
Devin Williams, if you're listening, you can use Punchy Nubbins.
All for you, bud. Go take it.
While you're not playing in the playoffs.
While you're not, yeah.
You punched a wall and broke your hand.
Not
after a loss.
Well, now he has Punchy Nubbins. So.
While you were out celebrating life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a beer. I'm gonna have one of these. It's a night shift beer. It's a nice Bock.
It's a night shift beer.
Night shift is the brewery from Massachusetts. Yeah, it's a German Bock. I'm just in the mood for
German Bock,
as opposed to the Austrian box.
As opposed to the Austrian box. Yeah. Yeah, it's an O, not an A. Yeah. There you go. Exactly.
So it's a botch, not a batch.
So it's a botch, not a batch. Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. So, anyway, yeah, I'm
talking about good drummers. That Batch family, huh?
That Batch family. Gotta love that Batch family.
Yeah.
All right. What are we doing first? Baseball?
I think we should talk a little baseball. What do you think?
All right. You want to throw out that stat that you sent out the other day? Because I think that's
a good place to start. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great.
Let's start with the woes of the Mets.
Woes of the Mets. Yeah. Okay.
Because
the Yankees have run off 7 in a row, but let's start with the woes of the Mets.
We're going to start.
We want to save the good news for later. And quite honestly, it's kind of boring and predictable what the Yankees are doing, and not really worthy of much press.
No. Yeah, I don't think it's predictable.
No, we'll talk about.
I think what could happen in the next couple of days is
we're actually going to talk about the Cardinals too in a little bit too, because
this is fire.
Talk about not getting press.
All right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
they don't fucking deserve
it. Well, I'm sure they get it in St. Louis, but
what a miserable city.
There you go. If you guys followed me on Twitter, you would have seen my post about the Cardinals and the Yankees.
I did. I follow you on Twitter. See,
I don't have Twitter.
What? That means I have to get Instagram. So.
Can you fax me your Twitter post next time?
I don't know. I'm not much with technology.
Just send it in an envelope. Just print it out and
I'll throw it in your air pocket or whatever it is.
Carrier pigeon over to
my hot pocket.
Air pocket.
Just drag it to your hot pocket. Stick your phone on top of your head.
Exactly. Put it in the microwave for 3 minutes and you're good to go.
Then all you have to do is sign up for 3 accounts, and then you could load it in if your last name begins with a vowel.
And then you can use it
on Q.
Speaking of Hot Pockets, real quick, I guess it was about a month ago.
You had a Hot Pocket?
Yeah. For some reason, we were talking about Hot Pockets, and my kids have never had Hot Pockets. And
really?
Yeah, I think I've maybe had them once in my life prior to this. So I was shopping a couple of days later, and I said, let me get some Hot Pockets. So I got a couple different kinds, and we actually baked them in the oven rather than
the microwave. I got you.
I heard they're healthy. Did you get the kale turmeric Hot Pocket?
No, they're not healthy. That's incorrect.
Kale turmeric.
But I gotta say, I'm pretty sure that baking them in the oven made no difference whatsoever. They
tasted the same as the microwave.
They were still pretty bad. Yeah. No, we got Philly cheesesteak and
Did the lean pockets or the actual Hot Pockets?
No lean pockets. Why? The universe could collapse.
Exactly.
Are they made with Olean?
Yeah, they were.
That's why he never stands up while he's on the show.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
but
yeah, they were not even big.
Speaking of lean pockets, I got some lean pockets these days.
We all got lean pockets these days. So speaking of lean pockets, there's going to be some players on the Mets with lean pockets soon, or maybe not actually, but. That stat we were referring to is this. Here we go. No team in Major League Baseball history has spent 103, and not even close to that number, but 103 days in first place and finished with a losing record. The Mets are the first. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Now there's one.
And of course they've I think they won both games yesterday, right?
They won both games yesterday.
Right. So 7-inning games. What's their record in 7-inning games this year?
They're pretty good, I think.
They're pretty good in 7-inning games.
Pretty good,
so
right?
If they could change every game to 7-inning game, then
it's like a
they can have a double header. They can have a double header like at least once a week.
Little League.
Yeah. And they might get back to 500.
They could.
Well, the big news is that they're
going to need one game next year to get back to 500.
That's for the year.
Say again.
They've officially shut down Jacob deGrom for the year.
Jacob deGrom,
no fucking fool, no fucking kidding.
No, they officially shut Jacob deGrom down for the year in July. So that's
what I was going to say. But I love how that was the big news today in the Nets world or the Mets.
Shocker. Yeah, exactly. But,
well, listen, that's actually doing something right for a change instead of trying to bring him back for whatever reason, and then he could just
right. Well, himself. I mean, we know that. Yeah.
Right. Well, on that note, Noah Syndergaard pitched one inning yesterday.
Oh, he did. Yeah,
he pitched one inning yesterday. Yeah.
He's on the Luis Severino bounce back plan.
He did well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
pitch an inning here, an inning there, and we'll see you next year.
Severino's pitched four innings, one hit, I think, so far.
Wow, that's awesome.
I want him to be there. I think he should be their closer, but we'll talk about that later.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say, since the season ends on Sunday, that Syndergaard's done pitching for the year. That one inning was his. Just to get his feet wet and remember what it was like from 2 years ago.
Just so he could say he played in 2021.
Right, exactly.
Had a pretty good season, as I recall.
He had an awesome season. He struck out every
perfect inning.
He got out every batter he faced. Yeah,
didn't
struck
allow
out
a
2.
run.
Didn't allow a hit. Nothing. There you go.
Yeah,
Speaking of Mets pitchers doing awesome things, Stroman stealing a base.
Stroman stealing a base. Yeah,
pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. Stealing and a second one on the overthrow. But
one legitimately.
One legitimately, yeah. Absolutely.
This is when you're a Met fan, you just take these little nuggets of things.
And they're the only
things they spent 103 days in first place and then ended up with a losing record and they couldn't win the thing and this and that and the Syndergaard didn't give it. But Marcus Stroman stole a base.
There's a lot of people in Pittsburgh and Colorado and Miami, Arizona, who would love to have 103 days in first place.
Well, fuck those guys. Get a better team.
Here's something that I am interested in as it relates to the Mets. Of course, it's the Mets from 30 somewhat years ago.
Sure,
but I haven't finished it because I had to tape it. But
30 for 30.
The 30 for 30 4-part series on the 86 Mets is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it is. It's very good. I highly recommend it. Watch it if you haven't yet. Even if you're not a Mets fan, watch it. It's very good.
I mean, I don't.
It's good TV.
I don't think it's anything that we didn't know.
No.
But
it's nice in there that you
it's nice now that the players themselves are admitting, everything you heard was true.
Sure.
Right.
Oh yeah, we did all
and
that.
Then,
yeah, exactly.
And then some.
Yeah.
And
here's one you didn't know. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's it. The Mets collapse this year is more monumental than it was in 07. And of course 08, which 07 was worse than 08, but this was bad. This was bad. At least in 07 though, they were actually legitimately in first place. They weren't just in first place for 103 days because they were playing 500 ball and everybody else in the division sucked. You know, they were actually a good team in 07 and 08 and then collapsed. So that's the only difference there. But,
they still won how many games in 07?
More than they won this year.
94?
No, less than that, but more than they've won so far. They're in the 70s now. They're 75 and 82.
It's a balmy 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, comfortable temperature, but
comfortable temperature.
Win total.
Comfortable temperature. Yeah. So,
hey, look,
in any event,
first year, Steve, whatever, right? They're not coming around yet. He's got to figure it out, and he's got to get the people in to figure it out. So
he needs, but he needs to do the right things here.
Yeah,
and if he sits with, here's the thing: if he sits, I personally, and we'll talk more about this as we get more into hot stove with the Mets and stuff. But if he sits on, if Steve Cohen sits on Sandy Alderson and doesn't clean house, I know it's only a year, but get him out of there and bring Theo Epstein in. Because Sandy Alderson, I'm sorry, I'm in complete belief that no matter, even if Theo Epstein wants to come to New York, Sandy Alderson isn't going to let that happen because he wants somebody that he can control as a puppet. And that's what's going on now. I mean, is it going to be bad if they bring in Billy Beane and everybody else from out in Oakland? No, it'll be better than they have right now. But I think, I mean, Epstein.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, marginally better, but it's still better nonetheless. But we'll see. But
it would be worse because you'd have the clash of personalities and styles and guys fighting for control.
Yeah, well,
at least now there seems to be, it's a poor management system, but there's a hierarchy and people know their place. I'm not saying I prefer this, but
I don't know. I don't know, honestly. I don't know what's worse right now. And several months ago, things were looking up in both departments. Not great in the other one, but I don't know what's worse right now. We're not going to do football right now, but I know what's worse right now, the Mets or the Giants. It's a little crazy there. But
they're still bad. So the eternal cry of the Mets fan, just wait till next year. Mm-hmm. We'll carry that through another offseason.
There you go. We have a comment really quick. I want to throw this up before we move on to Yankees or anything else. David Scardino said, Harry Lug Nutz avoided me on Saturday night. Should I come back when you guys discuss awesome Cowboys? Looking forward to that Mets 30 for 30. There you go. Harry?
I couldn't find you in the midst of 3,000 people. I did find your friend, though.
Yeah, Scott was
there. So if you saw me, then you've avoided me because I did not see you.
Exactly. There you go.
And fuck the Cowboys.
Again, we'll talk about the Cowboys in a bit, but
although they are going to win the NFC East.
I mean, they could win 8 games.
We all know that
they can win 8 games and they're going to win the NFC East. So
I think the Cowboys are 4th, 5th best team in the NFC. They're looking good this year.
Yeah,
they have a little bit of an issue on defense, but
we'll talk football when we get to football. But so Dave, hang around and we'll talk Cowboys. Don't worry. And I got another comment here. Redman R watching on YouTube says, "Go Astros or Athletics. If either team wins, Astros of course or Athletics. Astros will clinch AL West Division tonight. A team, don't let Texas down." There you go. So no comment from either of you. That's it. Nothing on Astros.
Well, I mean, look, the Astros are a perennial. They have a great lineup, clutch hitters, one of the best players, two or three of the best players in baseball, and I'm sure that the little man will hit a home run off for Aroldis Chapman in the 8th or 9th inning of a deciding game again this year. It's just the Yankees' fate.
It's just the way it goes.
Where would you rank the Astros' likelihood to, let's say, win the World Series?
I think the Astros, if I was to go, hey, here are the favorites to win the World Series, I think the Dodgers and Giants are right there. 1, 2.
Let me clarify that.
Get to the World Series.
American League.
I think the Astros are the second best team in the American League, and with their playoff experience, the one thing Tampa Bay has that neither the Yankees nor the Chicago nor the Astros have is that bullpen. I sometimes I feel like Tampa Bay has a 73-man roster.
Yeah.
And they know how to win close games. Now, having said that, I still think the American League is a bit more of a toss-up compared to the National League. I don't think, in other words, if Tampa and the Astros met in the American League Championship Series, I don't think Tampa would be a huge favorite. They would have home field advantage, which again, I'm not sure that it means a ton with those two teams.
Right.
And the Astros experience certainly helps them. They don't have the pitching they've had in years past, but that's certainly not hurting them this year.
It doesn't seem to be.
They got some depth though.
They've got a great lineup. They've got a great lineup and they've got clutch hitters.
Here's one for you, and I'm not by any means inferring that. I mean, they're 4.5 games back, but you see what the Mariners are. The Mariners are half a game out of the second wild card.
Look, there's no guarantee the Yankees are going to get this wild card spot. In fact, you're feeling pretty good. They sweep Boston. They come back to win the first one against Toronto. You got Garrett Cole on the mound, and they're down 4-0.
And Boston Yankees won yesterday. I mean, Boston lost too, so that helped too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's Toronto and Seattle that you got to watch out for. And Toronto, I mean, they could still win this series and be tied with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. For that wild card spot. Yeah, Seattle's probably the most improved team in baseball this year.
Yeah, I would have to say that's true. But yeah, they're only a half game back right now. I mean, the Yankees have the first wild card, and Boston is 2 games behind them with the second. Seattle's a half a game behind them. So.
And Toronto's what?
And Toronto is a half a game behind Seattle.
Yeah. So I mean, they're all right there.
So
I mean, the Yankees have the toughest
3 games.
There's
4 teams within 3 games.
Right, and there's 5 games left in the season, and the Yankees play Toronto and Tampa. So I mean, the only thing possibly is Tampa's. I think if Tampa wins tonight, they clinch.
Tampa's already clinched.
Oh, they did. Yeah. They clinched the best record in the American League. So maybe they're not going to be playing for much. I don't know. I think pride tells them they want.
Well, Tampa clinched the East. I don't know if they clinched the. There's
they
5 games left.
They have to win tonight.
If they win tonight, they clinch the best record.
If they win tonight,
they've already clinched the East.
Or Houston loses, then they'll clinch the best. Yeah.
Right.
So Seattle's got obviously the A's tonight. And then
I think they finish off with Anaheim.
Yeah, 3 against Anaheim. So
right.
They have.
So they're all winnable.
They're all winnable.
Yeah, that they probably have the best chance to kind of win out.
Yeah, they have the easiest schedule of those teams.
Yeah.
They absolutely do.
Yeah,
but
they're not playing anybody that's wants to put them down.
No.
I mean, or really, I mean, Angels might want to be spoilers, but they don't really have the wherewithal to pose a real threat if things go certainly, quote unquote, according to plan,
right?
As opposed to the Yankees, who played everybody who has a legitimate chance to get ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
The Angels can only really be a spoiler. They don't have anything to they don't have a playoff berth on the line. So
here's one thing I was looking at: run differential. Toronto has scored 118 more runs. 118 more runs than the Yankees. And
look at their lineup.
116 more runs they've scored than the Yankees. And they're 3 games behind the Yankees. It's just strange. I mean, obviously it's the games that they scored them in, but still, 116 more runs than the team they're 3 games behind. That just it's bewildering. But anyway, and then the Dodgers 248 plus on the run differential,
and they're still 2 games behind San Francisco,
and they're still 2 games behind the Giants. Yeah. So
look, I mean, talk about nobody talking about a team. I mean, San Francisco's no joke.
No.
I mean, they could win 107 games this year.
They could win 107, 108. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's they've been very good all year long, and consistency means a lot. I think they're kind of built for the playoffs too. Now, look, the Dodgers have the starting pitching, especially with the acquisitions that they made at the All-Star or the trade deadline. But they're the 2 best teams in baseball.
I wonder if the Dodgers, though, might actually kind of enjoy not being at the top heading into the playoffs for once. And, still they're expected to win, but they're not. You could say they are one of the overwhelming favorites, let's say. But San Francisco is also an overwhelming favorite. In other words, they're not the only team to beat in the National League. And
no, I think
enjoy that role for once instead of being the Dodgers won 105, and if they lose, then it's a failure and a travesty.
Sure,
they're kind of like, well, they weren't as good as the Giants. They're still a great team, but
well, here's what I don't like about this system is that the Dodgers have to win 1 game to get into the playoffs.
Right.
if it stays as it is right now. So you could have a team that wins 105, 106 games, and they could have one bad game and not even make it into the actual playoff.
If that's the case, they're going to have to beat the red hot Cardinals in one.
Yeah, they could be playing a team that has
a 23 game win streak.
13,
right, or that has
or it's more than that.
16.
Well, no, it's they're
17 now, right?
17 now.
17.
So it'll be 20. If they win out, it'll be a 22 game win streak. Yeah.
And there's still 6 games behind the Brewers, and the Brewers are another team to look out for. I don't. Sure. The Brewers are a good team.
Yeah, the Brewers are a good team, but they don't have punchy nubbins anymore, though. So
they don't have punchy nubbins.
But that's what I mean. You can look at Milwaukee and go, okay, they're at 94 wins right now, right? And have consistently been good all season, right? San Francisco is very, very good. Atlanta is most likely going to be the division winner, who's like the least of the 3 division winners. And then you have, not that I would favor them over the Dodgers, but the Dodgers, you could look at the Dodgers and go, well, they're number 2 or maybe number 3 if you think Milwaukee, despite not having as many wins, maybe is a little bit of a better team. So
Milwaukee's number 3. Milwauke's a clear
I
number
agree.
3.
I agree. But the Dodgers might look at it and go, hey, we don't have to be. We're not the big dog in the room.
Right. And they can play that too. They can sit back and relax, like you said. They don't have to be. The pressure's not on because they're not. The pressure's on the Giants now, not them.
Right.
So, well, let me ask you guys.
Still got to win that play-in game, but
right.
If you're the Dodgers, who do you start in a wild card game?
I don't know.
Scherzer's been really good.
Makes sense.
Makes
perfect sense.
Yeah, as long as you have
and then if you win, you got Kershaw lined up to start the series.
Sure.
So
there is not as much time as usual in between.
No, I think it's normal.
The games of the series, or it's kind of normal now.
I think it's normal this year. Yeah. It's not.
So last year was just.
There was no traveling last year, so they had game after game. That's what the problem was.
My question is, at what point would they be able to reset the lineup to exactly the way
he
they
couldn't.
wanted?
If Scherzer pitches in the wild card,
it would take until the second series. I mean, because the next
division series.
If it went more than 4, he would be able to pitch in that series, but he'd still be on the. It would take a while to get him back into that second role.
Well, they're not pitching. It's not consecutive days, so I mean,
right.
they could, if they want to throw him out there in Game 3, they could do that because of the time.
Probably be Game 4, but
right.
because there's only one game for the first 2 games. There's only one game day, or actually, the first 2 games are back to back, aren't they?
First 2 games are back to back, but there's a game
or
2 in
then
between the wild card
off.
game. There's a day off after the wild card game. Is my point though? So he's got that
one day.
Yeah. So
he
could technically go Game 3, but it'll probably be Game 4.
I don't know.
So, but whatever.
They pitch 4 innings anymore anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, the Cardinals tearing it up. 17-game win streak. They're playing great ball right now. They're, look out. I mean, anything is possible. But the Yankees.
Have you ever been in a stadium filled with St. Louis Cardinals fans?
I have not been in a stadium filled with St. Louis Cardinals fans, but I've been in a stadium.
It's a miserable experience.
Is it?
Almost as bad as Chicago fans. They're just it's I don't know. It's just St. Louis.
Gotcha.
That's all they have.
Oh my God!
They got that art and they got beer.
Yeah, they don't have very good beer, but they have a very good baseball team. Pretty perennially, the Cardinals are one of the best teams year in and year out.
But are they? Let me pose this question to you guys: are they really as good as they've been set in these 17 games, or it's kind of a funny question? In other words, can they keep this up enough to maybe get close to winning the whole shebang, or they got there and that was kind of shot their load and returned to the Cardinals, which was not a terrible team, but this Cardinals team.
Well, look, the Cardinals
before they won 17 straight was not the same team. You know, in other words, the same group of people. But
no, yeah,
can they stay hot enough to make a dent? Or hey, we got there with this huge push, and now they're going to just kind of go back.
No, the Cardinals are right where everybody thought they were going to be. Right. In fact, everybody picked the Cardinals to win that division.
So they were underperforming.
They were underperforming.
Yes.
I think I still don't think they're as good as Milwaukee, but they're closer than their record suggests. Right. You know, when you got Wainwright, who's going to, who you can push, I think he's got 17 or 18 wins this year. They beat the Brewers the other day, which is a good team. I mean, that's a team that does not lose very many games back to back.
And they did beat them. Yeah.
And that lineup is starting to gel. They've got
here in the last 20 games of the season, they're finally
gel. Well, if you're going to gel at 1 point and 1 point only in the season, the end is probably the best.
140 games in is where you want to do it.
But in any event, I mean, whoever wins the wild card game, let's assume that the Giants win the division and the Dodgers get the wild card. The Dodgers are playing the Cardinals, obviously, and the winner of that's playing the Giants. So, Milwaukee's going to be playing either Atlanta or Philly. You can figure out that Milwaukee's going to the NLCS. You assume anyway. But
that's a good bet, but
I mean, we'll talk more about that obviously once all the next week we'll give our playoff outlooks, if you will, in the beginning of it. But Harry, you have anything to say about the Yankees in particular right now?
Oh God,
I want to pose a question about the Yankees and about Stanton.
Yes. Go for it.
Stanton is hot or cold, right? He does great, amazing things when he's hot, and he stinks up the joint when he's cold. So
I think they should play him when he's hot and sit him when he's cold.
And not sit him when he's cold. Mm-hmm. Is he only as good as, let's say, his last month in terms of the
globally?
No, was it a good deal? If he stays hot and wins and helps you win the World Series, does the deal become a good deal? What if he goes cold in 3 weeks and can't hit the ball for all of the?
Yeah, no, good question. Here's if he plays the way he has in the Boston series and in the first game against Toronto for the next 3 years, the deal will be worth it.
Okay. So if he wins, if he is a big part of winning in the World Series this year, still not worth it.
So if he plays really good,
if they win it this year and he contributes in crunch and in the clutch like he has been, right, then he's A-Rod without the numbers. Okay. Because A-Rod had some great seasons and didn't perform in the postseason. Stan's had bad regular season numbers and mediocre postseason numbers. Although last year in the postseason he hit a little bit.
Yeah.
So he's hitting everything. That home run he hit last night, he golfed.
He
golfed
it. Yeah, he golfed it, or
either he golfed it,
gobbled it up,
he gall-danged it. I don't know.
Gall-danged it.
So this is kind of the point I'm getting to. Like, if or reaching for here is what makes it worth it? Because he's got how many years left on the deal?
7. 6 or 7, yeah.
If you get the one series out of him and he contributes, does it
helps?
Make it work?
Then it helps.
It helps. Okay. Okay. If he after that for the rest of the contract he plays okay, he's still kind of streaky, but not either super red hot nor abysmal. Completely kind of out of character, let's say.
Right.
Decent.
Yep.
Right. Then it's worth it because you got a World Series.
Sure.
The Yankees right now have to slug their way to wins, and that means that both Judge and Stanton have to hit for the Yankees to win. Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing I don't like about this team as much, especially now with Torres and Urshela back in the lineup, is Wade and Velasquez out of the lineup is they have no speed. I mean, they've been thrown out on the bases. Well, it has not proved to win you championships.
No.
You know, a lineup
But
like the
that's how
Astros,
they're
a lineup like the Dodgers, who are actually hitters who can create runs without only the long ball. That wins you championships.
Isn't it nice when a team does that?
Yes, it is.
Isn't
And
it?
so they're back to this lineup that, yes, they can come back and they can certainly they have guys who up and down the lineup now who can at any time hit a home run.
Right.
Yeah. But it's this constant lineup change with Aaron Boone that I think he's getting a little lucky because his two best hitters, you know, sluggers at least, and Judge and Stan are coming through. They're both playing really well. Nobody else has, you know, even Gallo. I mean, Gallo's hitting under 200. Now, his on-base percentage and his slugging percentage are out of control. And when he can catch
flies,
he can catch flies with vinegar.
Catch a high fly ball.
He should be back now. There you go. When he can catch
syphilis.
Yeah, can he be a designated thrower?
Yes, it would be good. That would be very good.
I just want to put Judge and Stanton at the warning track with their gloves up on both hands.
That's it.
You know,
right.
And have Gardner run back and forth, and have Gallo be a short center fielder so he can throw
4 or 5 people out in the outfield and cover
right.
it. And right. I got you.
Right.
I hear you.
Exactly. Yeah.
A couple of interesting scores at the moment. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Yankees are losing to the Blue Jays 4-2. The Mets are end of the 5th. The Mets are beating the Marlins 2-0. I'm sorry, 2-0. The Brewers are beating the Cardinals 1 run middle of the 3rd, 1-0. So there you go. There's some couple of interesting scores for you. Where are we got? The Giants haven't started yet. Obviously, the Dodgers haven't started yet. They're all later. Mariners, same thing. And Astros. Astros top of the 2nd. Astros and the Rays are tied. 0-0.
What are Atlanta and Philly doing?
Atlanta and Philly are
golfing.
Philly. Yeah, golfing. Atlanta's beating Philly 3-1 after the 3rd.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, Philly's only 3.5 games back.
Yeah. You get Atlanta wins out. Obviously, it's in fact I think if they win tonight, I think it's done, because then obviously they'll still be it's a 2-game swing. So, or is it?
Let me ask you.
One other important game. This is, I know this is very eating away at you. You really want to know. Top of the 4th, the Twins are beating the Tigers 3-0.
I was going to mention the Twins are winning, so that's
wanted to.
You know, the Twins have the makings of I think a decent team moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got
shitty
as they started. They've almost won as many games as the Mets have. So
well, here's what I was going to tell you guys, is that the Colorado Rockies are only 3 games behind the Mets in both the win and loss column.
Yep, that's correct.
So there's your perspective on your Mets season.
Yep. It's highly likely that they'll end with the same record or within a game of each other, after the Rockies had that abysmal start and the Mets were in first place for 103 days. And
the Rockies had to play a hell of a lot of games against the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres.
Sure, absolutely. And to make Mets fans feel a little bit better, the same day the Mets were eliminated from the playoffs, so were the Padres.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, disappointing season for the Padres, I think.
Well, let me throw probably this to me. This is the most telling number between the Mets and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Nearly identical records against what's the opposite of super 500 teams.
Yeah,
above 500,
above plus.
Yeah. So 32-51 for the Mets and 31-52 for the Colorado Rockies against teams over 500.
There you go.
So that kind of tells you the story.
Right there spells it out exactly. Oh well. Anyway,
Mets were imposters.
So let me ask you both of this.
They were posers.
They were posers. Let me ask both of you this. Obviously, the Mets are done. We'll talk more. It's hot stove talk already for Mets. We'll get to it next week and on from there. After the playoffs, even more. But
we need at least 3 months of no Mets talk or Yankees talk after the season's over.
We'll do a season wrap up Mets special, and we'll get it done in that. So anyway, on a Friday
Nothing
night.
special about the Mets.
No.
Season wrap.
The
Special edition of misery.
Exactly. Me and Pete will do it. You can take the night off, Harry, and we'll get Patch Manfield to come on the show.
Yeah, listen, it'll end with a weekend sweep, and John and I done the wrap-up show. This will be the whole wrap-up show.
That's right.
Well,
the bright spots for the Mets in 2021.
That sure did.
Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, the Mets really sucked this year.
Yeah,
they sure did.
They sure did. All right, good night, folks.
45 minutes of that.
Of that, right, exactly. Anyway, but here's my question to both of you. All right. Are the Yankees going to have the first wild card spot, the second wild card spot, or miss the playoffs?
Oh, they'll have the
Based
first.
on the record, what you think is going to happen?
They'll have the first.
They'll have the first, Harry?
Yeah. There's still Yankee magic in Yankee land.
All right. Harry?
There isn't. There's Yankee fucking misery in Yankee land. Look,
he's been hanging out with you and I too long.
they're losing. Well, no, I'm a realist. I said, I think over a month ago, and I think I said, the Yankees are on pace to win 92 games.
Okay.
I think they're going to win 92 games. Now,
fair enough.
It's all going to come down to, I think they'll win this series against Toronto. I think they'll win 2 out of 3 against Toronto. So they'll wind up being 2 up on Toronto. They'll have to go in and win 1 out of the 3 against Tampa. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll do that. But I think they'll get in, but it might not be they should be able to maintain the top spot. But
they're going to,
I don't know. They just need to get in.
The benefit to them is the fact that Tampa has won as many games as they have. So they can, they can rest. But
you know how much they hate each other. Tampa's not going to roll over.
They're not.
And the Yankees have not matched up well against Tampa. They've matched up better against Toronto.
The Yankees are going to lose 1 game against Tampa. That's it for the rest of the season. They're going to win tonight.
Well, I mean, if they lose 1 game against Tampa and lose this series against Toronto, that puts them in a position of maybe not winning.
No, they're only going to lose 1 more game the rest of the season.
That's
They'll lose 1 game against Tampa.
So they're
going to come back and win. They're going to come back and win this game tonight.
Then they'll probably lose the first game against Tampa, and then they'll win the final 2.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays. We'll see how it plays out next week, and we'll talk about it then. All right. Should we move to some football?
Just one thing. Speaking of Toronto, how about that Marcus Seaman?
Yes. Yeah. What about him?
44 home runs. That is the most ever by a second baseman.
Yes.
In a single season.
Yeah, the top of this Toronto lineup is as scary as any lineup in baseball. When you got George Springer, Simeon, Guerrero, and Bichette. I mean,
Simeon. Yeah, I pronounced his name wrong.
What'd you say? What'd you call him?
I think I said Seaman.
Seaman? No, he's not. Yeah. He's not a naval.
Which is odd
name. Yeah, or a
something else.
Bodily fluid.
Yeah. So 44 now, which beats Davy Johnson's record of 43.
There you go.
From back in 1973.
And what do you think? You think Cano's going to want to come back next year and play second base and break that record?
I think Robbie Cano is going to want to do a lot of things that he's not going to be able to do.
He's not going to be able to do, right?
Probably being one of them.
Exactly. So.
Good luck.
He'll probably wind up on the Yankees platooning with the rest of them at 6 different positions.
No, it's Marcus Simeon, right? That's his name?
Marcus.
Yeah.
Is he related to Trevor Simeon? That was in the
I don't
Broncos?
think so.
No.
Not different guy. All right.
Yeah, different guy.
All right.
And George Springer is not related to Jerry Springer.
They're not. I thought he was his nephew. No?
No.
All right. I thought so. Anyway, silly me. All right. Anything else for baseball? I think we're good. Right?
No, one quick thing on the Yankees. Luis Severino looks good, and they're bringing him in a relief role.
He's probably going to be.
Why not make him the closer?
It's going to probably be the
stranger things have happened. Why not? What the hell? Go for it.
It's going to be the World Series MVP right there.
There you go. As a closer,
he's going to pitch an inning or more. No, not as a closer, but
he's going to get traded. He's going to get traded to the Dodgers.
An inning in each of 4 games in the series, and
there you go. So you're predicting the Dodgers? We're not going to go there just yet. Anyway,
alrighty. I think the Giants.
I'm thinking the Giants too. Milwaukee's not that much of a slouch either, but I'm thinking
I'll be rooting for Milwaukee. But yeah.
That would be interesting. So, all right. Let's move on to some football because it is the season. So I'll change back.
It's already football season is officially over for all New York football fans.
Football season ended this past Sunday for all New York teams. Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway, well, no, not all New York.
Well,
teams. Two of the three New York teams.
If you're a Bills,
yeah, Buffalo's not. Buffalo's a Canadian team that happens to be in New York.
Is true. Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, they're the only New York team that's actually in New York.
This is true too. So,
the other two having, skipped town for the
other roots,
greener pastures of the swamps of Jersey.
Exactly.
Yeah, Secaucus, New Jersey is way more New York than Buffalo is.
There you go. This is true too. So all truths, all of that is true. So
you basically live in Connecticut, so what do you know?
Technically, yeah, you're close. You're closer to Connecticut than you are to So anyway,
which is also more New York than Buffalo.
Connecticut more New York than Buffalo, anyway. Yeah. So all right, quiz time. I got a quiz for you. Ready? Quiz time. Here we go. We're going to do all-time quarterbacks. All-time quarterbacks. So this is for both of you. It's the same question for both of you, obviously, because it's not just Jets and Giants related.
You got to pick three.
You got to. I'm giving you six.
No, geez.
Oh,
you got to pick four. Two got to go.
Four.
You no. Just get rid of two. Get rid of two of these.
Okay.
All right. So you can pick six. I'm giving you specific years too, not just a quarterback. All right.
Oh, God.
I'll give you some stats.
God.
It's not gonna be long. Here we go. First one. 1984 Dan Marino.
Daniel Stavinovich Marino.
All right. 5,084 yards, 48 TDs, only 17 interceptions. Right. 100.
No, I don't know. Don't say we.
108.9 passer rating. Lost to San Francisco in Super Bowl 19. All right. So 84 Dan Marino.
All right.
Next one. 94 Steve Young. 39, 69 yards, 35 TDs, 10 interceptions, 112.8 passer rating. Beat San Diego in Super Bowl 29. 1989 Joe Montana.
Was that his best year?
Yep. 3,521 yards, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 112.4 passer rating. Beat Denver in Super Bowl 24. 2007 Tom Brady, 4,806 yards, 50 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 117.2 passer rating. That's the highest on this list. Lost to the Giants in Super Bowl 42.
So we're just picking by this year. These years.
You're picking by these years, yes.
Okay.
2013 Peyton Manning. 5,477 yards. That's an NFL record. 55 touchdowns. That's an NFL record. 10 interceptions. 115.1 passer rating. Lost to Seattle in Super Bowl 48.
He lost to Seattle.
Lost to Seattle, yeah. And then 2018, Patrick Mahomes. 5,097 yards. Second most. 50 TDs. 12 interceptions, 113.8 passer rating, lost to New England in the AFC Championship game. Only one of these 6 that did not get to the Super Bowl.
So 2 won the Super Bowl, 3 lost before the Super Bowl.
2 won the Super Bowl, 3 lost the Super Bowl, 1 lost the AFC, lost in the championship game. So 84 Dan Marino, 94 Steve Young, 89 Joe Montana, 07 Tom Brady, 2013 Peyton Manning, 2018 Patrick Mahomes.
And what is the context here? We're keeping 4 of them?
Keeping 4, getting rid of 2. Who goes? Of those 6, obviously, no matter which 4 you keep, you're golden. But which 2 do you want to let go?
I don't want to let go of any of them. I'm gonna let go of Manning and Mahomes.
Manning and Mahomes. Okay. So you're letting go of the most passing yards in a season and the second most passing yards in a season.
Yep, because out of those 4 guys,
and the most TDs in a season and the second most tied to the second most TDs.
Stats. Eye test. Young and Montana are a no-brainer because they capped their seasons off with wins. I think Marino was on a team that gave him not much help, and he was absolutely spectacular that year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you tabulated inflation in the NFL as to what he would have been if you put Dan Marino on that Kansas City Chiefs team, he would have had 12,000 yards passing. Yeah.
Right.
And I think Brady just had an amazing season, just happened to lose, in a tough manner. I never had, I think Peyton Manning's the most overrated of the so-called, top quarterbacks of all time. Don't
say that too loud. You're in Denver.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. He was a game manager. He was, he had 2 great years with Denver, but the year they won the Super Bowl, he didn't even play in the majority.
Well, I've said that before. We've all said that before. They won the Super Bowl that year in spite of him playing.
They won that Super Bowl because of great defense and Cam Newton,
of Von Miller,
and because Cam Newton's stupid.
Well,
but and Mahomes, I think, had better years after that year.
Yeah.
Even though he lost, last year, I think Mahomes had a much better
Super Bowl,
season. Yeah. And the year that he won the Super Bowl was better. So I'm not saying I would take, Mahomes. That's just my rationale for it, is that yeah.
So you keep Marino, Young, Montana, and Brady. You're getting rid of Manning, Mahomes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's.
There you go. Pete?
I'm going to keep Marino because ultimately he lost, and I hate him.
So you're keeping him?
Same thing with
Brady. So you're going to keeping him or get rid of him?
No, I don't want to get rid of him. I want that season to stand as they lose.
Oh.
Same thing with Brady. Loser. Great.
Go.
Nice numbers. Loser.
So you're keeping both of them. So
yeah, I kind of agree, actually, with Mr. Nutz there.
Mr. Nutz.
I mean, I probably would keep Peyton, but who am I going to give up?
Now,
I'm not giving up Montana, and I'm not giving up Steve Young.
Right.
As a Giants fan, I would take any of these guys' worst season while they're, and
Did you take Montana with the Chiefs?
And then I'd be arguing, it was the best season ever for quarterback. Right. Would I take what? Yeah, take Montana. Well, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Montana now it would be better.
Pete, you do realize, Pete, that the Giants could have picked Joe Montana. They picked Phil Simms over Joe Montana, rounds before Montana went.
It still worked out for him, right?
Oh,
Simms is one of your all-time
greats. No. I love Phil Simms. It's fine, absolutely. And Montana would not have been what he was with the Giants. He would have been what Phil Simms was with the Giants. I'm not saying.
I don't know. He might have been.
He would have been closer. Well, he would have been less. He wouldn't have been as
it's hard to say that
he wouldn't have had Jerry Rice. He wouldn't have had.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's hard to say the Giants ever stacked up talent-wise.
Right.
Team across the board, team-wise, to the way the San Francisco.
Right. Exactly.
Look, and here's the one thing I will say about Montana and Young is that they had a lot of talent always around them, more so than Brady consistently. Mahomes has had a lot of talent around him, and you could argue Peyton Manning had a lot of talent. I would argue the opposite of my opinion on Peyton Manning is that I think Peyton Manning maybe made some of those receivers a little better in those heydays when they were running up those big numbers. But it seemed like they fell short many times when in the postseason. Now they won a Super Bowl, and Peyton won a second one to tie his brother, in an Eli type role,
Sure.
Don't fuck up and have a couple good plays and let your defense do the work.
Yeah, well, the one thing Peyton has over Eli is the fact that he won 2 MVPs, but that's besides the point too. So,
well, Peyton Manning's a much better quarterback than Eli Manning. Peyton Manning's one of the best of all time. It's just that there is. I think that second win with the Broncos helped cement his reputation as kind of not coming through in the postseason. But it's hard. There's a lot of quarterbacks with 1 Super Bowl win. There's a far fewer with 2, and there's far fewer with 6.
There's one on this list that there's one on this list that both of you are keeping that has 1, that only has 1.
Yeah, Young.
Yeah.
Young.
Brady has 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marino has none. Young has 1. But Marino, much like Dan Fouts, if you were there and you saw what they did with what they had,
right?
Especially that season, Marino was unbelievable.
No, he was. No, absolutely. I agree with you. So, all right, cool. There you go. Before we get into talking about games, I actually just thought of a question I wanted to ask you. So I was thinking about this last week, I saw something on. They were talking about it on a couple of different shows. They actually said this because of what was going on this past weekend, which we'll get to in a second. But who is the best quarterback of all time from New York City?
You mean that was born in New York City?
Played in New York. Played either the Jets
played for the Jets or the Giants.
Jets or the Giants. Was the best quarterback of all time that played for either the Jets or the Giants. Who is it?
I mean, there's a lot of people who played for them for a brief period of time whose careers probably. I mean, Kurt Warner.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, let's call it like Kurt Warner played 6 games for the Giants.
Well,
so
but he was on there for 2 seasons, right?
No, just one.
Okay, just one. They
brought him in to tutor Eli. He played 6 games, and they brought Eli in, or not? Maybe he played 9 games. Maybe I forget. I think he played 9 or 10, and then Eli came in and played 6 or 7. But
so who's the best long-term or at least multiple seasons?
When you look at him, you know he's a Giant or a Jet. Wasn't just here for a season and on from there. Who would you say?
I mean, I don't think the numbers stand up to this for the Jets, but I still think you have to go with Namath, and for the Giants, I'll take. I think you have to go with Eli.
And I concur, Pete.
I'll take Y.A. Tittle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Ken O'Brien.
And Ken O'Brien, right?
And Chad.
Chad Pennington. Of course, he's going to pick Chad Pennington.
Ken O'Brien had some good years.
Bertie Kosar, but he wasn't around long enough.
I mean, Ken O'Brien was the one who was battling it out with Dan Marino. Yeah. Right.
Listen, there's Ken O'Brien gets a lot more shit, I think, that he deserves.
I always thought he was a great quarterback.
Well, I wouldn't say he was great. He was.
We are talking in the context of the Giants and the Jets. The Giants, I would argue the Giants and the Jets have never had an all-time great quarterback. They haven't.
Fair to say. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. I agree. Let me ask you, though. Out of those two, if it's Namath for the Jets and Eli for the
realistically,
for the Giants,
it has to be Eli, of course.
Realistically, who's the best?
Namath's numbers are not even good.
They're not good. They're not good at all.
Now, granted, he was on a team that, I mean, didn't he pass like 8 times in the Super Bowl or something like that?
It's a far better story than the reality.
Right, exactly. Well,
but I would say, I mean, Eli, the durability, right? And
he had some great years.
Yeah, and there's numbers there, right? When you play,
there's numbers
you put up numbers. You have to,
right.
And he did. I mean, what Namath did for the Jets and for the upstart AFL, I think you could say, that and what Eli did for the Giants with those 2 Super Bowl wins. Those things are kind of on par.
Sure.
If you want to look at, and obviously Eli's numbers were better than Broadway Joe's, but I mean that was a different time too. That was a big different time. That was a big moment in history for football and that league and stuff.
Sure, that was nobody would ever expected that to happen.
Right, and there could have been, who knows? There could be a dozen quarterbacks in the day who might have won that game with the Jets.
True.
But what Namath was and how he was and all of that played into that story, and it was a big deal.
It was.
But what Eli did with the Giants, after what was kind of a down period for them, right?
A couple of years. No, they were in the Super Bowl a few years. 6 years before?
Yeah, well, it's more than half a decade, and coming back, those wins against those teams, that's huge too.
Yeah, that was. That first Super Bowl run, they were out of it, and they had to go on the road for every single one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that's those are both huge accomplishments.
Yeah.
Right, and what I would say about Tittle is because a lot of people always put Manning and then Sims and then Tittle. And I always put Tittle ahead of Sims because even though I think Tittle lost 3 championship games.
He was there. He
was there in 3 championship games.
Right.
He didn't play that long for the Giants, if my memory serves me correctly.
4 or 5 years.
but he still holds back then. He still holds the single season touchdown record, passing touchdowns for the Giants at 36.
Sure. Yeah. And what he was going to say is he totally thinks that's the best, one of the better stats, and I do too. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
But there he is. He's back. But whatchamacallit? No, I agree with you. Yeah, no, he was on the 49ers for years, and then the Giants got him. He was on the Giants 4 or 5 years, I think. But they were in the championship game every year, and they kept losing it.
Except for one, yeah.
Except for one, yeah. So, but in any event, yeah. So I agree with all of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that people know his name. Some of it is that photo where his head is bleeding or whatever. But if you know anything about the Giants at all, even if you don't know all the specifics, you know his name, and there's a reason for that.
Exactly.
And look, the Eli beat Brady twice. It's not like he beat another an unknown team or a team that was having a good year. He beat the Patriots twice.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Those wins were.
It wasn't a rollover game. He actually,
and that's and in some ways, if we look at it another 20 years from now, that might be a bigger story than Namath with when the Giants beat an undefeated Patriots team. I mean, how big of underdogs were they? Weren't they like a 13-point underdog or something like that?
Something 13.5, something like that. Yeah,
which was a bigger spread than the Jets were against the Colts.
Yeah.
So as history moves on, I think as we get further away from it, that season might start to creep up inequality with what Namath did. Namath was a great celebrity, and it was also at a time when New York sports needed it, and it was a great time for New York sports because you had the Mets winning, you had the Jets winning, you had the Knicks winning, all within that era.
Yep.
And they had, with the exception of the Mets, which were kind of a team that didn't really have big name stars other than Seaver.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that
Namath fit right in with Walt Frazier and all the other big names in New York sports at the time.
Yeah, and that was certainly, those years were certainly a time when the image of New York as the place to be was, had already been created, but it certainly was solidified when you had all that success going on in that short period of time.
Exactly.
Right, and Eli gets a lot of shit for being a career kind of, what was he, 500?
One game over.
Yeah, but there's a lot of really good quarterbacks.
1 or 2 games
didn't
over.
have great winning percentages.
Namath was one or 2 games under 500.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. That was going to be my point. Yeah. Is that Namath was under. So.
Dave Scardino just said Eli beat 2 great Patriots teams in the Super Bowl. They weren't supposed to win. Eli easily over Namath, he said.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, the Jets weren't supposed to win either, and they were not even in the same league.
True. This is true.
On that note, though. Yeah, literally, not
literally. They were literally not in the same league. They were. You're right. You're absolutely right on that one.
Phrase, yeah.
But on that note, though, you're talking about Ken O'Brien before. I mean, Ken O'Brien was, who went first in the draft that year? Was it Ken O'Brien or was it Dan Marino? I forget. Who was it?
Imagine if the Giants had Montana and the Jets had
O'Brien
Marino.
Went first.
Yeah.
O'Brien,
but imagine if the Giants had Montana and the Jets had Marino.
The Jets picked Ken O'Brien at 24. The Dolphins picked Dan Marino at 27. So
and we wouldn't be talking about either of them because they would have been on the Jets and Giants.
Exactly. And John Elway went number 1 too.
Yeah.
So
what a great. They always consider that to be the best quarterback class of all time.
To the Colts, though, not to the Broncos, who was traded after because he pulled a basically the same thing that Eli did. He's like he wasn't playing for the Colts, so they traded the rights to the Broncos. Anyway, all right, let's talk some football from the week. I don't even want to talk about the Giants. It's just horrible. I'll give you this though. I'll give you one positive note for the Giants really quick here. Before we get to all of the negatives, Azeez Ojulari, Pro Football Focus made Pro Football Focus's Team of the Week. He's the first Giant ever to get a sack in each of his first 3 games, and he's also the first in the NFL to do it since Myles Garrett did in Cleveland in 2017. So he's coming around to be a good player. However, his counterpart, Mr. Blake Martinez is out for the season.
That's a huge loss for the Giants because he was having a hell of a season.
Yeah, he had a great season last year. He was basically
he's their best defensive player.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's a huge loss.
So the Giants defense was bad already. Just wait.
Well, the thing is the Giants defense isn't really bad. They just can't figure out a way to lose. Yeah.
Well, you know what it is. Here's what I'm looking at. Now, if you
they have to learn how to play man to man.
That's it. Every single time they're dropping back into zone coverage. In the first quarter, 5 minutes into the game, they're dropping back into zone coverage.
They had the most zone.
That's all they're doing.
They had the most zone coverages last year. They had the fewest man-to-man percentage of any plays. They said that was going to change this year, and it hasn't. They're actually doing more zone coverages.
It's worse than it was last year. Is it because that Patrick Graham does not trust his D-backs?
He doesn't trust the safeties or one of his corners.
It's insane. It's ridiculous that it's worse than they promised it was going to get better, and it got worse. It's stupid, but.
And the pass rush is just not there, as it has been even last year.
Look, I'll bring up a date. Go ahead. The pass rush wasn't there.
The pass rush isn't as good as it was last year. And look, the Giants haven't really started off the season against barn burner teams.
No, not at all.
So it's only going to get worse.
Right. And I mean, in reality, let's call it what it is. In reality, they really should be 2-1 right now. And with the exception of maybe, 6 or 7 or 8 plays, they could be 3-0. But you could say that about a lot of teams, and we're not going to go there. But it's getting worse now. It's going to get worse now. The schedule, this was the easy part of the schedule in the beginning of the season anyway. The next 6 games they keep playing like they played the last 3 weeks. They're going to be 0-9 or 0-10. And we're going to be playing the quest for 16 for the Giants instead of the Jets.
The Battle of the Ophers.
The Battle of the Ophers. So, but I'll give you a couple of stats. I want to bring this up because I made this graphic before. All right. Here we go. The New York Giants offense rankings under offensive coordinator Jason Garrett. Yards to go on third down. They're 32nd in the league. How many teams are in the league, guys?
37.
31.
31, right. All right. So yards to go on third down, they're last. Points per game, 31st. They're one.
Is that just this season?
That's under Jason Garrett. So this is this year and last year.
Okay.
Explosive plays, 31st.
What does that mean?
Bigger plays like
big name plays, 25 yards or more.
Yeah. Points per drive, 30th, and yards per play. Wow, they have 4 teams below them on yards per play, but they're 28th. So these stats, to be quite honest with you, suck.
It's too bad we didn't have. It's too bad we didn't have a resume on Jason Garrett. It's too bad we didn't
It's too bad nobody really knew.
Been able to do.
This is what happens when you
pass.
Dave, weigh in with your thoughts on Jason Garrett.
You just hire these unknowns and you give them a shot.
Heard of before, yeah.
Well, at least we know he can clap good. That's the important part.
Yeah.
So
those stats are very. Need I say
they are
offensive?
They are scoring 17.68 points per game. That's their average. Now I'm going to give you this stat too. They are in the last 3 years, not including this season. In the last 3 years, 3 seasons totals: 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. They have gone 18 and the last 4 years, 18 and 46. Last 4 years. So if you include the 3 games this year, they're 18 and 49 overall. So that is a .269. That's a 269 average winning percentage since September of 2017. All right, 18 and 49.
That's
18. If I told you after the Giants lost that playoff game and the guys went on the boat and they lost to Green Bay, right? If I told you the next 4+ years the Giants were going to be 18 and 49. You would have punched me right in the face. So
no, I wouldn't have punched you in the face.
You would have thought about it for saying it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, and Dave said you can have them. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, we. Yeah, look. We've talked about this ad nauseum. There's a problem at the top, and there's a problem right under the top. And while everybody else is sitting here thinking Joe Judge was a good hire, I never did.
No.
And I still don't.
No.
And I think if the Giants go 2-15 or which is what it's looking like, or maybe even worse, I don't think you give Judge another year. I don't think he can.
I don't think
was Garrett his hire?
No, Garrett was Mara's hire. Mara wanted Garrett. And I talked to Judge about it. I'm sure he didn't just shove it in his face, but I'm sure he talked to him when he hired him as the head coach. It wasn't Judge didn't come in and say, "Hey, I want Jason Garrett." Mara has a relationship.
But did
Jason Garrett
come in and say, "I'd rather not have Jason Garrett"?
I don't know.
Really don't want Jason.
I don't know.
That's the real question.
I haven't heard those rumblings.
Look,
and you don't generally with America.
I would go out on a limb and say that if Judge was able to pick his own offensive coordinator, it would have been Freddie Kitchens. Straight out, if Jason Garrett wasn't available, wasn't around, he would have brought Freddie Kitchens in straight away as offensive coordinator. That's what he would have done. That would have been my guess of what he did.
Regardless, I think the thought was that having somebody like a Jason Garrett who's got the experience, Judge was unproven. He's coming out of college, right?
So he was on the Patriots.
Well, I know, but he
won Super Bowls on the Patriots.
As a head coach, he's
never been a head coach.
He's never been a head coach. Okay, I thought he was a head coach in college.
Nope.
No.
So, the success of the Patriots assistant coaches has not been stellar.
No, well, they all sucked. Matt Patricia in Detroit, Josh McDaniel in Denver, they're horrible.
Mangini.
Eric Mangini, it's not a good resume.
The list goes on.
And on. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it seems like they all, Judge is a little bit of an exception in that to varying degrees, they try and be Bill Belichick, and there's only one Bill Belichick.
Yeah, they can't all. Yeah, they all try to.
But what did Judge do with the Patriots that put him in a position that made him so exemplary over everybody else? I don't understand it.
I don't know, but apparently he came with Nick Saban and Bill Belichick's seal of approval to John Mara, saying, "Hire this guy. He's the one you want."
Well, if Bill Belichick gives you the seal of approval, we all know Bill Belichick means that Bill Belichick is the most selfish coach personnel-wise. It's not like he's grooming people to leave. He wants them to stay. So if he's telling you go ahead and take him, it's because he realizes that he's going to leave anyway. And he doesn't want his reputation to look bad.
Right.
I think he's happy for other people's success, but
I don't. Not if it comes at his expense.
Yeah. Well, I think.
Yeah, but he just finds somebody else to plug in, right?
Right.
He's been able to. If he had a string of guys who left and had success other places, and New England suffered for it, then I would agree with you. But he just plugs another guy in.
We can all agree that.
And they usually come back anyway.
We can all agree. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can all agree that Bill Belichick's coaching staff are systems coaches.
Yeah,
sure.
That's right.
They
kind of are.
They kind of are.
All right. So having said all that about Judge and Garrett, is it really their fault?
Well, we have a comment right here from Dave said really quick. He said, North Arlington Vikings wouldn't hire Garrett. And then he said, your coach isn't the problem, your quarterback is. And I think
both are.
I think both are, but I got to tell you, over the last couple of weeks, Daniel Jones I don't think he's the next coming of Eli Manning or even Phil Simms for that matter, and maybe not even Danny Cannell. But I don't think he's necessarily the problem right now. I think
he's gotten less shitty.
He's gotten less shitty.
But that's
not
only because
as shitty as he was.
It's only because he's learned how to recover his fumbles.
Right. There you go.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because you're both Giant fans. Mm-hmm. Can you expect a team to do particularly well if you break down the offense?
Right.
Your quarterback, let's say running backs, wide receivers, quarterback.
Right. Yeah.
He's number 3 as far as the talent goes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, definitely.
Well,
how much can you really – name another team that has a great deal of success that has a mediocre, I mean, it happens sometimes,
Right.
but it's usually accompanied by a stellar defense that has a mediocre quarterback and other great offensive weapons.
Right.
And it's never been the case of the Giants. The Giants were always plug and play with their wide receivers, with their running backs.
Right.
They never
So
had
now-
the
so you
names.
have
They
this-
didn't have the Emmitt Smiths and the Jerry
Right, I mean,
Rices.
This is a pretty talented offensive team.
Sure.
You know,
Except for the line and not so much the quarterback.
Well,
The skill positions.
Let's
the skill
talk about
positions,
it.
they've got some talent,
Right.
but it seems like the quarterback is amongst those skill positions the least talented on this team, and I think that's a recipe
I think Daniel
for
Jones
mediocrity,
has some
isn't it?
talent, but it's not.
I'm not
what
saying
the
he doesn't
Giants
have
need.
any talent.
Well, if you're
but he's
a
not as
starter
good
in the
a
NFL, you
quarterback
have
as
to.
Saquon Barkley is a running back.
Right.
Well,
I wouldn't say he's as good a quarterback as his receiving core.
let me ask a couple questions because I think the stats kind of. How many times was Daniel Jones sacked this week?
I don't know. Good
Or, I don't
question.
know.
Let's find out.
I don't think it was the offensive line this week. I think it's the fact that this team doesn't have chemistry on offense and they can't seem to convert on third down and they can't seem to score. That's the problem.
That
The
is the
Giants
problem.
went.
Definitely
The Giants
seem to get bogged down when
the
closer they
offensive
get to the
line.
end zone.
The offensive line looked better. The Giants scored too early. They gave the ball back to Matt Ryan and
Three times. He was sacked 3 times.
right, but one of them was kind of a covered sack.
Yeah.
So not great, but not horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there. I said this, much like I said, it's going to be 30-29 in the Redskins game. I said the Giants are losing this 17-14. Yeah. They don't have the personnel or the culture of being able to win these close games yet. Now, what I think everybody knows my thoughts on Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. If the Giants had another quarterback on this team, would they necessarily be better? I think it would have to be a quarterback who's able to come in and really help the chemistry on this team. They have a lot of talent. They've had talent in the past. I think the biggest difference is in the Giants' ownership and, front office. Because in the past, they've been able to get great defensive linemen and decent offensive linemen, and they've always been able to draft in the lower rounds receivers that performed really well. And when they were out of their rookie contract and they wanted a lot of money, they said goodbye, and they got the next ones coming up. Now they have a different mentality where they've drafted in the last couple drafts. They've picked very high, and they picked Saquon Barkley. Before that, it was OBJ, and then Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. Out of all of this, I think the elephant in the room is Saquon Barkley a bust?
Yeah, well, I mean, his first year, no, but since, this is his fourth season.
How many carries did he have this past week?
But he had one big breakout run, right?
16.
Yeah,
16 carries. He had what,
51
something?
yards. 51 yards.
Okay, so
3.2 yards per carry,
which isn't terrible.
Yeah.
That's not what you want from Saquon Barkley.
No, but you want him to.
That's not what you're expecting.
You want him maybe getting between 4 and 5 yards a carry on the average.
Well,
you want him touching the ball a little bit more than that.
But when we drafted Saquon Barkley, I thought he would have
25. He did have 6 receptions for 43 yards.
I thought he'd have 25 carries and 10 pass attempts a game. I mean, I thought he'd be a workhorse that you would just be able to especially when Jones came in.
Right.
And right, and the more you give him the ball, the more opportunities he has to bust one.
And to be quite honest with you, looking at this, he actually had more receptions than anybody else.
Because they're throwing screens to him on 3rd and 27.
Yeah, it was a check down.
Okay, so on this team, this guy's your number 1 draft pick from a few years ago. He's back from an injury. He appears to be okay, and you're giving him the ball 22 times.
22 times.
22 touches, and he's getting you 100 yards.
And he's getting you. He had 90. Where is it? 94
yards.
94 yards.
Okay, right. So, those aren't terrible numbers.
No, but they're not numbers for.
You should.
But if you
50 total yards out of him, if you're only giving the ball 22 times.
But if you watch the game, he's not the impact player that a number 1 pick. What was he overall? The 4th pick.
Second.
Okay, second, even worse. So,
but again,
that's my point.
But the Giants since they picked him,
right?
And I mean, later in that draft and in subsequent seasons drafted, developed, signed. I mean, they did sign Nate Solder, which was a bust one year, and maybe he's getting better. But have they built the offensive line to give him?
They've certainly thought they have.
They did. They thought so, but they really haven't.
And so, I think that's been their biggest downfall is they have not been. They're obviously not great at picking personnel. I just don't think they are.
Right.
But if you're not going to give what's the number? Like the quarterback needs a line to protect him. Well, the running back needs a line to open holes.
Yep.
I understand all that. Yeah, so, better than anybody else.
I'm not trying to defend Saquon Barkley. I don't know whether he's a bust or not. I was in the camp.
I'm not going to say he's a bust, but
but I'm in the camp. You don't draft a running back.
No.
At that point anyway.
Look,
but they haven't built the team around him.
No,
very well. Let's say it that way. They haven't done a good job.
And that leads me to my point: is who is the first that should go, and that's Dave Gettleman. He hasn't built the team that he was brought to East Rutherford to do. He just hasn't.
But he's not gonna go. The first person that's gonna go is gonna be Garrett. If the Giants go 0-5, Garrett will be gone. Somebody else will be an interim offensive coordinator, and they'll hope that changes.
They'll bring Kitchens up and bring exactly. So really quick, talking about quarterbacks that lesser quarterbacks that actually quarterback teams to a championship. Dave says McMahon in Chicago and also Dilfer in Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't exist.
Right.
No, and what's his name in Washington? And I mean, Doug Williams was not a barn burner.
Yeah, but he was actually Doug Williams was a good quarterback. He wasn't. Yeah.
So was Jim McMahon.
Well, I mean, he wasn't a star. He wasn't Tom Brady. He wasn't Joe Montana. He wasn't Peyton Manning.
I understand that.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. Well, that's what it is. But really quick, let's talk about Eli on Sunday. Congratulations to him. I don't have to talk about it that much, but congratulations to him. Jersey number retired, Ring of Honor. Gave his speeches, and he threw 2 passes. He threw one to David Tyree and one to Mario Manningham. So that was to recreate those 2 touchdowns not touchdowns, but 2 good passes. But in any event, what are you looking about? He beat Tom Brady with both of those passes.
I know, but it's so hokey and cheesy.
Whatever.
Make sure you throw a pass at David Tyree.
It was cool. It was fine. It was fun. But now let's go to Monday night for a second.
Pablum.
Yeah, right. Let's go to Monday night for a second on the Eli and Peyton broadcast. Eli flipped the double bird 2 or 3 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it or not.
No.
They were talking about him because it was a Philly Cowboys game, right? Eagles Cowboys, and he was talking about the Eagles. And he was talking about any time that he walked into Lincoln Financial Field or anywhere down in Philly. He'd have 9-year-olds flipping him the double bird.
Well, it's Philly, man.
Yeah, and calling his mother names that he couldn't. He said this on the air.
He's lucky they weren't throwing batteries at him.
Right? So,
yeah.
But whatchamacallit? But he did it like 2 or 3 times, and then after the second or third time he did it, he says, "You guys can blur that out when it airs, right?" And Peyton goes, "This is live, Eli."
Well, this is on what channel or whatever?
I thought it was great.
ESPN2. ESPN2.
Oh, okay. Well,
nobody saw it.
It's cable, so
it's whatever. Yeah, it's fine.
I'd rather see Eli Manning.
They can do whatever they want.
Right. I'd rather see Peyton and Eli Manning getting a root
Disney
canal.
It is Disney. ESPN is Disney.
Listen to Booger McFarlane.
Exactly. I kind of.
How about Booger McFarlane calling the root canal?
Yeah, oh God. remember when they had him outside in that weird moving chair? They need to get him on the he's horrible. Oh God.
So,
and now it sounds like Al Michaels is going to be gone.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I think there are I don't know if I told you guys this, but there was actually a quote unquote job advertisement for people to do exactly what the Manning brothers are doing in terms of I remember seeing it a couple of weeks ago. They were looking for people who would watch the game and their reaction would be streamed.
And why
there
are
you
we
go,
doing
John? There you go,
It
John.
was not. It was a.
It would have to be on pay-per-view for me, but
Yeah, well, it was only on the internet, I believe, not on television or anything.
601.
And it was not something you could just do.
right,
You
had to
actually
be
had
hired.
to, it was
for
a job that you would be hired for.
They're looking for one person, or they're looking for multiple people.
I think they were looking for a number of people, and they wanted people who would be lively and draw people in with their comments and their antics. And
I think the three of us should do it.
Well, listen, I try and find the listing, but
Try and find it. Let's.
But I was like, I guess they're counting on this sort of reaction thing to.
Gotcha.
I don't know. Look, if you could get some eyeballs on it, then you can run some advertising, and that's
Right.
what the game is all about anyway.
Exactly. That's what it's about.
But I thought that was interesting. They were looking for regular people to
Regular Joes.
watch the game, and so you would put it on while you were watching the game, because of course the game would not be on the streaming channel.
Sure.
They'd be looking, let's say, at us watching the game or reacting.
And then of course the person streaming was streaming the game, so there's a minute delay, and then there's a minute delay with that stream. So you're watching the game, and then 2 minutes later you're seeing the reaction to what you saw.
Right.
So that's pretty funny. Anyway. All right, well, we'll check into it. Seriously. Shits and giggles. Let's find out. As far as the Jets go, Pete, what did you think about that game on Sunday?
They're.
And I'm sorry to be wearing this, but they are 3-0, so I had to.
Well, look, the Broncos have a good defense, and the Jets are not good.
Okay. Zach Wilson, 19 of 35 for 160 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Fine.
And he did run once for 2 yards, so there's that.
Look, he's a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Did they draft him too high? Anybody probably they drafted, would be
Right.
too high for that. For this team and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a building year. He's going to struggle. Hopefully he doesn't get, killed
Right.
in the meantime.
Well, he is 130 pounds soaking wet and 12 years old.
We'll know how good he is in 3 years when he plays for the Panthers.
Right.
Exactly. And, and look, Sam Darnold Bradford might turn out to be kind of one of those, decent but not great quarterbacks who does well in the right situation.
Like a Jim McMahon or a Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, he could be the next Trent. He's better, I think, than Trent Dilfer probably at this point. But
you know how I feel about Trent Dilfer.
It's still early. It's still early in the season, and I don't think Darnold has exactly quieted all the critics at this point. There were some moments, particularly in the last week a couple weeks ago, when he kind of looked like his old self. But I still wish him well.
Sure.
I was a proponent of the Jets giving him another shot, but it didn't work out. They went with Wilson. It's going to take time to develop him. And listen, all the other stuff, it's all hype. Yeah. Everything leading up to it, the weeks leading up to the draft, and everything the Jets are saying, and blah, blah, blah. And Zach Wilson's stock went up, and this person's stock went up, and Mac Jones' stock went down, and all that stuff.
Right.
You got to tune all that out.
This is true.
It's just a young kid, and he's got to learn. He's not going to walk in and be a superstar. Certainly not on this team.
And this is the sounder for the team.
High hopes before the draft.
Are the Jets going to win today?
Maybe.
No. I mean, yes. I mean, no.
No.
I mean, yes.
Oh, maybe.
I mean, no. I mean, yes. I mean, no.
There you go.
That's kind of encapsulating the season.
And for the Giants, too, though. So we'll
that's
have to do one of these for the Giants.
Question. Who's going to win the race to the bottom?
Race to the bottom.
Who's going to win a game first?
Yeah.
I think the Mets are going to win a game in 2022 season before the Giants are the Jets.
Well, we still have to say overwhelmingly it's going to be the Giants, right?
Of course. You would imagine at some point they're going to win a game.
Yeah. Don't they have 2 last-second field goal losses already this season?
Right.
Yes.
So,
they should be the Giants should be 2-1 right now. For all intents and purposes, the Giants should be 2-1. If it wasn't for a stupid penalty,
I don't know if they should.
If it wasn't for a stupid penalty and bad play calling when you get the ball back, they should be. Should be. I'm not saying
the opener next week.
They needed to be. They should be. There's a
the
difference.
Giants should be 2-0. Should they?
Should they? Should they? Should they really?
I think they're right where they belong.
So anyway.
So they both suck. So we don't have to spend as much time talking about them.
Well, yeah.
Wallowing in our misery.
I said this on Sunday night. Now we talked about one of the games we picked was obviously the 49ers Packers game, and I said this the other day, and I said, could you please, one of you or both of you, please tell me why this is? Why is it that when the Giants had 4 minutes and 13 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter, after Atlanta tied the game, I had no faith in the fact that they were going to win. But when San Francisco went ahead of the Packers with 37 seconds left on the clock, I said the Packers are going to win. Why is that?
Well, because there's four quarterbacks and four offenses in the league where you know that if you give them a chance, 75-80% of the time they're going to march down the field and either tie it up or win. And Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are one of those four. So, yeah,
The league loves the Packers, and
it's called Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. But you know what? The Giants are in first place, though. They are in first place. Okay. When it comes to new and exciting, laughable ways of sucking, and the best team that can snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, the Giants are in first place. So there you go.
And they probably pretty much stole that from the Jets.
Well, yeah.
Last season, the Jets found numerous ways to botch things up in the most unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah. The difference is that the Jets are just like, we're not even going to make it close this year.
It's not even going to bother.
Whereas the Giants, the Giants played a pretty miserable Atlanta team, and it wasn't as if they, Atlanta scored 30 points against them, or it's just that their inability to just be up by 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter is what it stands out for the Giants. I don't think their defense was horrible.
No.
It's just they can't separate themselves in any game. They just can't do it.
They can't. And speaking about defenses, let's talk about this for a second. The Monday night game. Is Dan Quinn the savior for the Cowboys? Because that defense
Cowboys look really good.
Insane. All right. And it's not, and Micah Parsons is a big part of it, but it's not just because of him. So Dan Quinn is doing something down in Dallas that's helping Mike McCarthy keep his job. Because if he went down the road he went down last year, then
they're quicker. They're quicker. I think Micah Parsons was a great pick. Gee, somebody had a chance to pick him.
Yeah, who was that? Who had a chance to pick Micah Parsons?
Would have been nice to have Micah Parsons stepping up when Blake Martinez goes down.
The Giants actually could have had Micah Parsons and Azeez Ojulari. They could have had both of them. But no, we got another wide receiver because we didn't have too many of them. That was important.
Yeah, how's Tony working out for you?
Yeah, right. Well,
Dallas is putting up a lot of points. And their defense is starting to gel. So,
and that's another thing too. It seemed as if they were blitzing. They were rushing, 30 guys on every play. Now, granted, it was obviously they were going up against Philly, but still, it seemed
Philly's not a bad team.
No, they're not. But they're not like it's not like the best offensive line. Plus, you have
and they have a quarterback. They have a quarterback that's not going to be able to react to that very well.
Right, exactly. But it seemed like they were blitzing every single down, and their D-backs are playing man to man, and the Giants are doing neither of that. But we'll leave that be as it may. We'll leave that alone. It just seemed that was where I was going with the whole Micah Parsons thing. The Giants, they got another pick next year, which tells me that they're not even looking at this year.
The Cowboys have played 3 decent teams and 2 very good teams, and they could very easily be 3-0 right now. First loss to the Bucs was a really close game.
Yep.
Dallas is head and shoulders above everybody else in the NFC East, and I think they're one of the top, 4 teams, 5 teams maybe in the NFC right now.
Yeah, I unfortunately have to agree with you.
Good to be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you got it. I know.
I'm kind of happy for Dak Prescott. I've always liked him. He right now he's got to be up there for consideration of comeback player of the year. They seem to have a little bit more stability on offense, and they're throwing the ball a ton.
Yep.
It's nice to see anybody, even your most bitterest rival, kind of come back from pretty damn gruesome injury. You don't want to see.
Yeah, I have nothing but
career
good thoughts for
end like
Dak.
that,
I
so.
don't look. You guys know how I feel about the Cowboys, but I don't hate Dak Prescott. He's not one of them. I mean, I have. There's really only two people that I have, a little disdain for, and that's Mr. Feed Me, because I can't stand that motion, and Jerry Jones. Other than that, it is what it is.
But look, Prescott, as great as everything is, and it's a love fest right now. If they drop a couple of games and he doesn't perform well, then all that stuff, from the past few seasons, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? Is going to come back up.
Yep.
So,
okay,
that's the way it is. Fans are fickle, and
they definitely are.
Winning is the panacea. Everybody's happy, but
this is very true.
And no one's going to go, yeah, his leg is fine, but he's losing, so we got to get rid of him. If he doesn't win.
I mean, Dak Prescott's already completed 86 passes this season on 111 attempts in 3 games. 111 attempts in 3 games. And he's got a 78% completion percentage. So that's the other difference, is that their offense is much like maybe what the Giants should be doing. They're not necessarily saying, all right, we're just going to give it to Zeke and then deal with our third and short. Right. Their offense is much more dynamic, and it's much more diverse in the type of passing game that they have.
And that's opening things up for Zeke. There's a reason.
And Zeke's
much more effective this year.
And Dak's making better decisions. It seems like his response time is a lot quicker, and he's making better decisions. He's got. He's been sacked 7 times, though. He's not necessarily running the ball a ton. Yeah. They're just, as an offense overall, they're clicking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And throw one more comment up there from Dave. He said during the game that Quinn was the best pick. Yeah, he definitely was a good pickup for the Cowboys. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get to Beaten by the Coin, we have to pick 3 other games that we're going to do in Beaten by the Coin.
Yeah. Well, do you guys want to talk about any other games, or do we want to do Beaten by the Coin?
Well, the other games. Well, that was leading into Beaten by the Coin. The other 3 games that we picked.
No, I mean from what happened this past week.
That's what I'm saying. The other 3 games that we picked were the Packers and the 49ers.
Oh, okay. All right, gotcha.
So, yeah, I don't know what after watching the last couple of games and watching obviously Sunday night's game, I don't know what. What was that first week? What was was it just cobwebs on Aaron Rodgers' arm, or was he just not?
Well, the Packers had to come back to
lost 38-3 to the Saints, and then I don't get it. But,
they could have lost this week.
The Saints are really Jekyll and Hyde too.
Yeah,
sure.
Right, they had a great week and then a terrible week,
and the Packers could have lost
this week.
So.
Yeah. So
and the Packers very easily could be 1-2 right now.
Yeah, you're right.
But they're not. They're 2-1.
We talked about the Eagles and the Cowboys already, and that was one of the other games. What was the third game we picked last week?
The other one was Tampa Bay and the Rams.
And the Rams, yeah. And what do you think about that?
That was bullshit.
Was it now?
No, it wasn't. Listen, I think
Rams are a good team. Rams are playing good ball.
Rams might be if not, certainly one of, maybe
certainly one team of, to beat.
Yeah. And look, Tampa Bay. Is it possible to say, coming off the Super Bowl win, and they should be great and everything, and they certainly seem to be clicking at times, but nobody's going to be. Look at the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they're vulnerable.
I know.
I mean, it's really hard to maintain that really high level of excellence game after game after game.
Well, look, I'm not going to make excuses for the Bucs, but nobody expected the Bucs to go 17-0, did they? They got to lose.
No,
and one of the best teams that they were going to play this year is the Rams. So, I mean, you lose a game, that's the game you're losing.
And, the other thing is, when you're a really great team, like, you're probably not going to get that much better.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're already really, really good.
Sure.
And so you have a team like the Rams, who was a really good team last year, but not like the Bucs was a really good team. In other words, certain teams have more upward
upside.
They have a little more ceiling to get to, as opposed to banging their heads against it.
Sure.
And I think that's part of what the Rams did. They're coming together. They're clicking.
And one of the biggest. I mean, their defense is great. but it's one of the best, if not the best, in the league. But let's call it what it is. I mean, Matthew Stafford was the move.
Yeah.
He's looking good.
He's looking real good.
He's exactly what all of us said he was in Detroit, just because he was in Detroit.
He's on a good team. And look, and Goff is no slouch either.
No,
he's still
not,
a good quarterback, but he's a little
think...
younger. He's got things to learn.
Right.
Stafford's been through everything.
Right.
Except, of course, winning a Super Bowl.
Right.
But,
exactly.
or having any playoff success.
So then maybe Goff learns a little bit more in Detroit, and then once Stafford retires, Goff goes back to LA. And
listen, Matthew Stafford could if they probably would have to win the Super Bowl this year, but if they get to the Super Bowl, Stafford could easily be the MVP.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. So, all right. So should we start?
Or Cooper Kupp?
Well, Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Oh my God, what's going on with? I mean, obviously Matthew Stafford has found his guy, but Cooper Kupp was like lost last year. Yeah. He was a guy that was like perennially a guy that I grabbed in any fantasy league. But last year when I had him, I was like I sat him most of the time. It was just not. I think he had 1 or 2 games last year that were.
He's back.
He's back. He's back. So
Stafford's always been a guy who has fed his number one receiver on a much higher percentage than other quarterbacks.
Right.
I mean, obviously this goes back to when he had Megatron and other guys. It was a no-brainer. But he's pretty good at getting his top receivers the ball and keeping them happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know if he ever had really it's not like I don't think he had a bunch of great really good number twos.
No.
So
no, he didn't. He's had his number one, and that was it.
And he didn't have an awful lot of options at running back either. So there really was.
Well, those early seasons with Calvin Johnson, he had what's his name as a second, who was went on to be. I think where did he go? I mean, for a few years though, the Lions' offense was pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Tate was there.
That's what Tate.
Kenny Galladay was there.
Kenny Galladay, but not with Calvin Johnson. He wasn't there.
Not with Calvin Johnson, no.
But Golden Tate was.
Yeah.
And they had what's his name as a running back, who was certainly no slouch. So yeah, I mean,
just can't remember his name.
Yeah.
That guy.
It's going back. It's going back a number of years.
Yeah, he was pretty good though.
Post Barry Sanders. So,
yes.
Anyway.
Yeah,
all right.
Listen.
I'm also brain dead right now. So
you've had a busy week and a half. All right. So should we pick the games we're going to pick?
All right. Yeah. Let's.
And then we'll start the sound.
So we're each going to pick a game.
Something like that. That's what we.
All right.
What we have said.
So who wants to go first?
Whoever.
Pete, if you got one, go for it, because I don't even know what games are coming up.
Let me look over the list here. I thought I looked at it before. I found
not that I'm picking everybody's game, but there's three in a row on this list that are glaringly good games. All
right, what are they?
The Rams and the Cardinals.
Yeah, Rams and the Cardinals, definitely.
That sounds good.
The Broncos and the Ravens.
Broncos, Ravens.
That sounds good.
Don't say Bucks, Patriots.
Chargers, Ravens. Chargers, Raiders.
Okay, good.
So,
okay, I'm good with those three.
Good with those three? And then
right,
the Giants and the Jets, of course.
Arizona is visiting the LA Rams. And Baltimore
is visiting Denver.
They're at Denver, right?
Onkelos.
You going?
No.
And then Las Vegas
is in LA
at the
Chargers.
LAC.
Correct.
Yeah, I think those are all. I think Arizona and the Rams I had picked is probably the one I was going to choose. But I also figured one of you guys might pick it as well. So
and there you go. Yeah, I looked over all of them. I was like, those are glaringly the three we need to be picking there. So they're the toughest. So.
Yeah, and can I just say before we start doing our picks,
sure.
Does anybody except the network hype give that much of a shit about the Bucks and Patriots?
No.
I mean, they've just been playing this up. Tom Brady's return and blah blah blah. It gives a shit.
Nope.
The Bucks are so good, and the Patriots are the Patriots, but
yeah.
Any of these games are much better stories.
The only other game that I thought and it's always good, is the Seahawks and 49ers. But that was kind of a toss up with the Ravens and Broncos. But.
Well, if you want to put that in, you can.
Nah, it's fine.
Pulling out. It's fine.
No.
Panthers and Cowboys isn't a bad game to look at either, but I don't think it's.
Let's go with the 3 we just did.
All right.
All right.
There we go.
If that's the case, here we go. Beaten by the coin.
Beaten by the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
Well, it's finally happened, at least on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Yours truly losing to the fucking coin.
Yeah.
After 2 stellar weeks, I might add.
2 stellar weeks, and you lost.
4-0, 4-1, and 5-0, and all for naught, as yours truly went 2-3. And the coin went 4-1, and we had some controversy. Well, then Johnny is 3-2 in it, and we had some controversy because, of course, Harry was not on the program, and the rule is if you're not on the program, you get the coin's picks. But we knew what his picks were, so we were debating about what to do, and we were thinking about, well, we'll give you 2 picks, and we'll give you 2 picks of yours and 2 picks from the coin. Ultimately, we decided to give you the coin's picks, which was good, because if we hadn't, you would have been beaten by the coin also.
Right, exactly. So you wind up winning the week.
You and
the coin won the week.
You and the coin both 4-1. You both had Denver. That was your tandem. The pick you had the same, but
right.
Yeah.
So
I forget what your actual picks. Oh wait, I got them written down here. So what did you pick? You had the Giants. You had San Francisco.
I don't know why I wrote San Francisco, because I
had Tampa Bay.
Never would have picked them over. Anyway, doesn't matter.
So so you did better with the coin than you would have.
Yeah.
So there you go. You and I
3 seconds that I was typing games I didn't even know what they were. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you did it. You put as much research into it as I do, and
there you go.
This is the result. So after 3 weeks, you and I, Harry, are 11-4. John is 9-6, and the coin surprisingly over 500 at 8-7 after a nice 4-1 week.
I'm only 1 game ahead of the coin.
One game ahead of the coin. Yeah. And then you're the returning champion. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. So let's start off with the Tetons at the NY Losers in green. Anybody want to take the Jets on this one?
No.
Titans aren't all that great, are they?
Yeah.
They got Derrick Henry.
Yeah. I think I'll go with anybody.
You want to go with the new Titans, not the old Titans.
I would go with Southern Methodist versus the Jets. So.
All right. So we all agree on that. Let's see what the old coin says. Coin says tails, which is the away team. So we're all locked in.
There you go.
All right. The New York Giants visiting the Jekyll and Hyde New Orleans Seance. Who wants to go first?
I will.
Is this in New Orleans?
This is in New Orleans. So I will be picking the Saints.
Taking the Saints. All right.
Giants are going 0-4.
I agree.
It's unanimous.
Okay. And we'll flip the old coin here. It says heads. Home team. New Orleans. Look at this.
All in agreement so far.
All in agreement so far. All right. The Arizona undefeated Cardinals versus the Los Angeles undefeated Rams. Is that right? No, they're 2-1.
The Rams are they?
I don't know.
Find out in a second. No, they're both 3-0.
Yeah, they're both undefeated.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is in the LA, right?
This is in LA.
This is a tough one.
It is.
I'm gonna take the Rams. I think they're coming off a big win, and Kyler Murray was good for 5 games last year before he started his slide. So he's almost there.
Yeah, 2 more games.
Well, I gotta have some sort of justification. I'm gonna take LA.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going with LA on that one.
Yeah, I agree. But that boy, it's tempting to take the Cardinals. But yeah, I'm gonna.
It's not a bad pick. It's not a wrong pick.
Yeah, no, I don't think either.
I'll stick with the Rams.
All right. Let's see if the coin's got any cojones. Heads. Home team, LA.
Are all in
There's no one
agreement so
going
far.
anywhere this week. All right. Baltimore at Denver.
All right.
Does Denver defense have enough to stop the Ravens? Or the
Who has Denver played? This is really, and this is the how good is. Are they the worst 3-0 team in the league?
Denver has played the
Giants, the Jets, and the
Jaguars.
So they played the three worst teams in football.
Right, pretty much.
I think.
But does that necessarily mean that they're? Well, look, no one is raving about their offense, right?
No,
but
they are home.
They're home, which is always
and the Lions almost beat the Ravens last week.
Yeah, the Ravens look a little sloppy. They look a little sloppy.
They do look.
Yeah, they're not looking like the powerhouse of the last couple of years. Not quite. Mm-hmm. I don't think they've fallen off a cliff, but they're a little shaky.
Yeah, their offense just seemed. I mean, they scored 36 points against the Chiefs and then only 19 against Detroit.
Yep.
Yet they won. And they beat the Chiefs, and they only lost to the Raiders by what? One score.
One score at the end of the game.
So, I think this has Ravens written all over it.
All right. I'm tempted to take the Broncos, but I don't know. I think they're both going to be 3-1 after this week, so I'm going with the Ravens. What do you think there, Radio?
I think for the Broncos to win this, they're going to have to score or create 2 or 3 turnovers, which is very possible.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if the Broncos can put up enough points. How many points can you get defensively? Even if you get 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I gotta take the Ravens also.
All right.
Yeah, let's see. These were the tough games to pick. We're all going the same way. Coin says tails. They like Baltimore also.
Oh my God, we're all in agreement.
All right, here we go.
Has this ever happened?
Vegas and the Clippers. I mean, the Chargers.
Are the Raiders for real? That's really I think the biggest question of, I don't know. I think they are.
Yeah, but the Chargers are pretty for real too, though.
Chargers seem to be squeaking by, though, don't you think?
The Raiders really didn't. I mean, Chargers beat the Chiefs last week.
Yes.
All right.
So did Baltimore the week before.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like beating the Chiefs is still an accomplishment, but not like it was last year. What? They beat the Chiefs?
Right.
They're good though. Chargers.
And the Raiders
man.
beat the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Ravens.
Look, the Chargers barely beat the Redskins, or the team formerly known as the Redskins. They lost to Dallas, and then they beat the Chiefs. This is a tough one.
It almost seems like any game with Vegas is going to, I mean, other than, going up and against an offer, is going to be potentially a good game. It's hard to pick.
It is. This is probably the toughest of all the games. Second only.
All right, I am gonna take Las Vegas. I will go first on this one. I will take Las Vegas.
All right. Harry,
I just when does the other shoe drop for Derek Carr?
Could be this week.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers at home.
Yeah, I have to concur. I have to go with the Chargers at home.
All right, finally we have I can. The worst I could do is be in second.
There you go.
And the coin says heads.
Chargers.
Chargers too.
So you are out on an island for one pick.
One pick difference, and
you can probably all go 1-4.
Yeah, that's me and the silver and black. I am faithful. Unlike these fair weather Raider fans who loved him in the 80s.
There you go. Loved him so much you did. So.
I had a little bit more faith, in that Raiders defense than I do in this one.
Yeah, that was a little bit better of a Raiders defense, I'd have to say. Just a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And Marcus.
It's just exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't too shabby, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, pretty good.
Who was their wide receiver then?
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
Yeah.
Boy, that guy was good.
Talk about a couple of right. Who was their quarterback? Doesn't matter. Was it? Talk about a team that had a quarterback.
Well, first it was Plunkett, and then it was and I mean the '70s Raiders with Kenny,
Stabler
and
Litnikoff
and those guys. That was something else.
Casper and all that.
And then they had a couple of those '80s Raiders teams had a couple of pretty decent defensive guys too, if you remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, Plunkett, I think, was always a little better quarterback than he got credit for.
Plunkett was good. Won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's true story. All right.
Plunkett had a hell of an arm.
He did.
He threw a nice deep ball.
He did. As everybody in the AFC West in the '80s did.
Yeah, that's true. A couple of quick hits, or do we have some other official?
Well, no, we got our top 10, but do the quick hits. Go for it.
All right. Well, Josh Gordon.
Yeah.
Back and signing with the Chiefs.
Yep.
What a surprise! They have the best parole officers.
Yeah, they're like the Raiders or the Patriots West.
That's right.
They take every reclamation project, and winning is the great panacea. So good for Josh. He's a good guy. He's misunderstood.
I mean, is there any concern on the Chiefs?
Have they had one of these projects that came in and backfired?
Well, let's see. What do they got the next couple of weeks? Let's just look really quick here. And this week they're playing. They're playing the Eagles this week in Philly.
Yeah,
I think this game's got to tell you, right? I mean, if they lose to the Eagles, forget it.
I would say if they don't beat them fairly
week.
handily, I don't think they have to blow them out. But if they don't beat them fairly handily,
right? Like if they just squeak by them at the end, there's questions.
If
but
they win by
outright
7,
lose,
if they win by 7 or less, then I think there's going to be more questions.
But if they outright lose, forget about it.
Well, yeah.
And then they play the following week. They play the Bills on Sunday night. At home, though.
They could be in trouble.
And
I love it, but yeah.
Shits and giggles. One game beyond that, they play.
Well, but they don't.
They play Washington and Washington.
Yeah, they don't necessarily have to go 14-2.
Right.
No.
Well, 14-3 or 15-2.
Yeah. Let's get into the.
But they've got some, with Vegas and a much better Broncos team and the
much
Chargers.
better Chargers team. It's a big division. It's a tough division.
It's a tough division.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they've got Josh Gordon now, so
there you go. So
there we go.
They're good.
He's only 30. That seems wrong.
It does. He seems older than that.
Yeah, he should be at least 35
or more. Yeah.
So I just want to interject.
He started playing when he was 12. So
something really quick. The Yankees are down by 1 in the top of the 9th. Joey Gallo scheduled to lead it off, and Aaron Boone pinch hits for Joey Gallo with who? May you ask?
Sanchez.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. And what happened?
Who's on the mound?
It's 1 and 2 right now. Romano.
Gallo's a lefty, right?
This is a right-handed pitcher. And Sanchez struck out.
There you go.
Looking. All right, Aaron Boone. I don't understand. You got a right-handed pitcher and a lefty. Unless something happened, unless Joey Gallo got hurt, and I'm not seeing it. Okay.
There you go.
They're still going to come back and win.
Well, Urshela's up now, right?
They've got 2. No, Torres is up. They've got 2 outs to win this game. So
yeah, there we go. That's 2 more than they really need.
What? 1 more than they really need. two more, and they wouldn't have any chance. It
says right here, Urshela's up.
Oh.
So, does the name Isaiah Wilson mean anything to you guys?
Isaiah Wilson. Should it?
Well, he just signed with the Giants and their practice squad.
Yeah, what did you say he was? Power safety.
Yeah, the headline that I saw said Giants signed former first rounder to PS, and I thought PlayStation. That doesn't make sense. And I didn't know who he was, what position he played. And then
Popular Science.
Power safety. I've never heard of that before. Yeah. So
there you go.
But he was like a former first round pick. He was with Tennessee, And I don't know. Did he get hurt? Oh, let's see. 2 stints on the COVID, on the reserve COVID list. Team suspension. Off-field concerns marred his rookie campaign.
Off-field concerns. And then I heard something. He's from Brooklyn, I believe. So they're worried that he's going to fall back into his old friends and whatever. I'm not sure exactly what it was. I half read it in passing what
Tennessee got rid of him. They traded him to Miami during the offseason. 3 days later, the Dolphins cut him. Late for a team physical, late for his onboarding process.
Lovely.
Didn't show up for voluntary workouts.
Great hire. Great pickup.
Well, look, he's on the practice squad, so he's their reclamation project.
Yeah.
The first rounder, so he must have.
I'd rather have Josh Gordon.
Yeah, right. I would too.
Right.
I would too. So, but we'll see if anything happens with him. The worst thing that happens is they cut him, and that's that. But maybe he's good. Who knows?
We'll see.
Speaking of signings of maybe somebody who doesn't have quite as troubled a past, but Richard Sherman now, the rich get richer.
He went to play in a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, signing
Another
with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
Because they don't have enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. How old is he? He's 41 now, right?
He's 51, I think. Right. So
he's not young.
No, he's not young, and he had a fight with a door a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's right. So 1 year, $2.25 million, $500,000 guaranteed. That's probably a decent contract for him.
Yeah,
take a shot.
Take a shot. See what happens.
But I mean, he's let's see. Since he was arrested, he's been in therapy and reportedly is in great shape, losing 15 pounds. All right, he's only 33.
There you go.
So there you go. Played 5 games in 2020.
He might have a couple of years.
He might listen. He could be one of those guys that
he wants a coattail ring. He wants another one. He only has
but
one.
I mean,
should have had 2.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
it's ironic.
Exactly.
He should have had 2, and he lost it to the guy that he's going to play with now.
Right. But I mean, he could be, not that the Bucks were on the cusp of getting to the Super Bowl before this,
right.
He could be a small piece that helps them make them just a little bit better and maybe helps them get back to it. So, let's see what else. Oh, real quick, not that I would certainly change my pick, but Julio Jones and A.J. Brown might be out for the Titans when they take on the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to matter much.
So no, but so here's the thing: if that's the case, and your top 2 receivers are out,
right?
We know what the Titans are going to do. We know what they're going to do with those guys on the field.
Yeah, they're going to run Derrick Henry anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So pretty one-dimensional offense in theory. Mm-hmm. We'll see if the Jets can.
They have other people that can receive the ball too.
Well, that's true, but they're going to be run heavy. So
right.
We'll see if the Jets can stack it up and at least limit. You're not going to stop Derrick Henry generally.
No.
Now, this Jets team is not going to, but see if they can limit him. How is the
Seattle couldn't stop Derrick Henry?
No, we'll see how this defensive scheme works for the Jets. So if those guys are out, they might both be playing. But
this is true.
You got those nagging hamstring injuries.
What, are they questionable?
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Which could mean anything.
Right. So
that's all I got.
And there you go. All right. So let's get to our top 10 list. We're actually flipping it back to baseball. Not so much current baseball, but just another fun list like we did the wrestling and the 80s bands. We're gonna do top 10 greatest baseball names of all time. Top 10 greatest baseball names of all time. So this was something that we've been talking about for a little bit, and there's just so many. And you got to go back. I mean, there's a couple of newer ones, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, you got to go back to get some of these real good ones. So we'll kick it off, and in true Lager Room fashion, we have 12 for our top 10. We have a tie at 10, and we have a tie at 2.
Let it rip.
So we'll let him rip. We'll give you a couple little stats, a little background on each two. So tied for number 10 is going to be Debs Garms. Debs Garms. Debs Garms, and that's
sounds like a place old ladies go to buy moo-moos.
Okay, and I'm going to point this out to you. That's actually his name, Debs Garms, and it's not even a shortened. His first name is Debs. His last name is Garms. Debs.
So his
Garms.
first name was not like debutantes or
No,
something?
it's
Deborah.
Debs.
Listen.
It's just Debs. Debs
Yep.
C. Garms. That's
There you go.
Debs
Nice.
Garms. He played for he was an outfielder and a third baseman for the St. Louis Browns, the Boston Braves, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the St. Louis Cardinals from 1932 to 1945 altogether. So there you go. Debs Garms.
Debs Garms.
That's
Debs
right.
Garms.
And he was a backup percussionist in the Velvet Underground very briefly.
He was later on in life. Yeah, absolutely. So
He was good with the maracas, I heard.
He was.
He shook that egg shaker very nicely. So. Anyway, all right, Debs Garms tied for number 10. Also tied for number 10, Boof Bonser. Boof Bonser.
Boof Bonser.
I like Bonser better.
Either way,
I
not
know.
the Bonser that makes it a funny name. It's Boof.
It's Boof. It's Boof.
I mean,
that
it's
does
the
it.
alliteration of the B's.
Exactly.
But
Now
Boof.
this is somebody that actually played recently. He played for the Twins from 06 to 08, and he played for the Red Sox in 2010 and the Oakland Athletics in 2010 as well. He didn't play much, but he played. He was a pitcher, and his full name is John Paul Bonser. So Boof was his nickname. Boof
I
Bonser.
think you have to be a pitcher with a name like Boof.
You have to be a pitcher with a name like Boof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Twins, Red Sox, and Athletics. There you go.
All right.
06
Boof
to-
Bonser.
to 2010. There you go. All right, bringing it down to number 9. Number 9 is Mr. Baby Doll Jacobson. Mr. Baby Doll
It's
Jacobson.
Mr. Baby.
That's Mr. Baby Doll to you.
I'm not sure why he's got the name Baby Doll.
we're gonna find out.
I don't think I want to know.
We're going to find out. His name is actually William Chester Jacobson.
Either something really good or something really bad.
William
That's right.
Chester Jacobson. He was the whatchamacallit? His father Gustav Jacobson was a Swedish immigrant who worked as a farmer. His mother Albertina was the daughter of Swedish immigrants. I'm sure that's not where he got Baby Doll from. I don't even see where he got Baby Doll from. But in any event, he played from 1915 to 1927. He played for the Tigers, the St. Louis Browns, the Boston Red Sox, the Cleveland Indians, and the Philadelphia Athletics. So there you go. I can't find on here what
Doesn't say why I call them
doesn't
Baby.
say.
Doll.
Oh wait, here we go. On opening day of the 2012 season, the band began playing the popular song "Oh You Beautiful Doll" as Jacobson came to the plate. Jacobson recalled, "Well, I led off with a home run on the first pitch, and the lady sitting behind the plate jumped up and shouted, 'You must be that beautiful doll they were talking about.' The nickname stuck with me, and that was it." So
So it's
Baby Doll.
walk-up music,
So it was walk-up
which
music.
at that point in time certainly was not chosen by the players.
Right.
I
Wasn't,
would
yeah.
think.
And it certainly wasn't Metallica or anything like that.
Yeah. So there you go.
So there you go. Baby Doll Jacobson. That's how he got the name. So tied. Now just our number 9.
Number
There you
9.
go. Number 9. All right. Going to number 8. Number 8 is going to be, and this is Harry's favorite, Count Sensendorfer. Count Sensendorfer. There we go. Count Sensendorfer's full name is John Phillips Jenkins Sensendorfer. So he went with Count Sensendorfer. He played
John Phillips Jenkins Sensendorfer.
pretty much. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics from 1866 to 1870. So we're going way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was born in 1847.
He was an actual count,
He was a count. Or
but he was not a Sensendorfer.
or a teller, one or the other. So, Count Sensendorfer. There you go. That's our number 8.
Yeah, that's just a cartoon name that wasn't from a cartoon.
Yes.
It was
He was
just a
in the
guy.
wasn't he in the Wacky Racers? Around turn number 3 comes Count Sensendorfer.
He
Yeah.
was in Speed Racer. That's right.
Speed Racer.
Speed Racer, yeah. Count Sensendorfer. There you go. Number 8, Count Sensendorfer. All right. Now we move on, and this is a great name for Mr. 7 tonight.
Mr.
tonight
Seven.
is Squiz Pillion.
Yeah.
Squizbillion.
Squizpillion. Squizpillion. Cecil Randolph Pillion. So Squizpillion is his name. He appeared in 2 games over the course of 1 week in 1915 for the Philadelphia Athletics. That was his entire baseball career.
And that's all it takes to make our list.
That's
I think,
all
they
it
were,
takes
I
to
think
make
it was
this
also a French electronica
I
band.
believe named it. Yeah, well, they named it
Yes.
after him. Yeah, Squizpillion.
Yes.
So Mr. 7 tonight is Squizpillion. There you go.
Yeah, and Cecil, which is
And Cecil.
not a common. It might have been more common back then, but
Cecil was a.
that's not a name you hear a lot. So
Not so much.
he was probably happy to be called Squid.
Cecil, you hear, but not Cecil.
Cecil, yeah. Cecil Cecil. I mean, it's similar, isn't it? So similar.
I think it's
Similar
spelled the same,
Pillion.
isn't it?
Squiz Pillion, Mr. 7. All right. That brings us to number 6. Number 6 is Smeed Jolly.
Which is the most fun name, I think, to
Smeed.
say on this list.
Smeed
I know
Jolly.
there's some good ones, but Smeed
right.
Jolly.
And once again, I'm going to tell you, that's his name. His first name is Smeed. His last name is Jolly.
Well, you can't, Good for him.
Yeah, his middle name is Powell. So it's Smeed Powell Jolly. There you go.
Had I known about this guy, I would have named at least one of my sons after him.
Smeed, absolutely.
Smeed P. Jolly.
Smeed P. Jolly. And he could have said Pete, just change the middle name. There you go.
Yeah.
P. Jolly.
P. Jolly.
Smeed Peter and Smeed
Just-
Victor.
Just P. Jolly. Smeed Victor.
This is my son, Smeed Victor. This is my other son, Smeed Peter.
There you go. Smeed Jolly. With all due respect, I'm sure he was a lovely human being, but
He was.
yeah, no, he played. He played for the White Sox. His major league debut was for the White Sox in 1930, and his last appearance was for the Red Sox in 1933.
Excellent.
So there you go. And he was he was famously a poor fielder, and in an era before the designated hitter, when all starting players had to play defense position, Jolly's glove was too great a liability to sustain a Major League Baseball career. So
There you go.
Wow,
he would fit in fine today.
he would fit in fine perfectly today.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Smeed Jolly, number 6. So there you go. All right, that brings us to number 5. Number 5, Bubbles Hargrave. Bubbles Hargrave. Eugene Franklin Hargrave, nicknamed Bubbles. He played for he was a catcher. He played for the Cubs, the Reds, and the Yankees. Played for the Cubs from 1913 to 1915. Played for the Reds from 1921 to 1928. Played for the Yankees in 1930. Bubbles Hargrave.
Old Bubbles.
Old
Yeah, I mean,
Bubbles.
listen, this is a time when I don't know how you get the nickname Bubbles, but like you're introducing the team, and we got Iron Neck Johnson here, and we got Granite Jaw Phillison over there, and that's Bubbles Hargrave over. That's not a very manly name for that.
They one day they walked in on him and his girlfriend, and they opened the door and closed it real quick. And somebody said, "What's wrong?" And they said, "Oh, we can't go in there right now." And they said, "Why not?" And they said, "Well, because she's blowing bubbles."
She's blowing bubbles. Very busy in there right now. I'm going to leave it alone. I got it right here for you. He was nicknamed Bubbles because he stuttered when saying B sounds. So he was Bubbles. Babbles.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
So Bubbles. And side note, interesting information here. Bubbles had a younger brother who also was a major league catcher, and his name was Pinky Hargrave.
Bubbles and Pinky.
Bubbles and Pinky. And just for the hell of it, we're going to see if Pinky. Oh yeah, William McKinley Hargrave was Pinky.
All right.
Named after the president.
Named after Pinky Tuscadero.
There you go. So, and
Yeah,
not that we're adding him to the list, but he played for the Senators, the Browns, the Tigers, the Senators again, and then finished his career with the Braves. Had a 10-year career. So
When they were younger, they were the kids
Bubbles.
in the neighborhood that got beat up the most.
with Bubbles and Pinky.
Bubbles and Pinky.
Bubbles and Pinky.
Obviously not, but no, maybe not. No, you never know.
Yeah.
Back then it was the
Might have had
opposite.
Might have had a chip on their shoulder about
You
it.
never
right.
know.
They might have been the toughest guys in the
They
neighborhood.
could have been.
That's right.
Hey, man, don't mess with Bubbles and Pinky.
They all respected him. So there you go. Number 5 tonight, Bubbles Hargrave. All right. Moves us to number 4. Number 4 is going to be Tony Von Fricken.
Von frickin'.
Tony Von Fricken. Anthony John Von Fricken. So he quite literally was Tony Von Fricken. He was a pitcher who played in one game with the Boston Bean Eaters in 1890, on May 9th to be exact, 1890.
Those bean eaters, they were good.
Yeah.
He pitched the complete game and got the loss while allowing 16 runs, 9 of which were earned. He struck out 2 and walked 8. That was his one
Alrighty.
appearance. There you
Yeah,
go.
he was good.
Tony Von Fricken.
His name sounds like a curse, doesn't it?
Tony Von Fricken, yeah.
Like you walk in and like the kids have spilled paint all over the dining room table.
What
the Tony Von Fricken is going on in here?
Exactly. You can use that now. Anybody, have at it. Enjoy. But yeah, Tony Von Fricken. There you go. Number 4 on our list. All right. That brings us to number 3. Number 3, Mr. High Pockets Kelly.
Yeah.
High Pockets Kelly. George Lang Kelly, to be exact. Nickname. Also had another nickname. Long George was another nickname.
His pockets were high, but not everything was.
His pockets were high, and he was long. So there you go. He played. Most of his major league
nickname with the ladies.
Exactly, Long George. So,
His pockets just seemed high because they were a long way from his crotch.
There you go. He played most of his Major League Baseball career for the New York Giants from 1915 to 1917, and then again 1919 to 1926. But he also played for the Pirates and the Reds. The Pirates, the Reds, the Cubs, and the Dodgers. So he had a pretty good
roll High Pockets
career.
Kelly.
He's a first baseman. He was a first baseman. So.
Of course, with the high pockets, you can't be anything
High
but.
Pockets, Long George. There you go. Got a twofer on that one. So our number 3 tonight, Long George, High Pockets Kelly. Right there. Gotta love it. So there you go. And then we're going to move on to our second place second place name, which is tied for 2 of them are tied. So our first number 2 is, and Harry mentioned this before, it's not a rapper. It's actually a baseball player, and his name is Lil Stoner. Lil Stoner.
He'll be at Red Rocks next week.
He will be at Red Rocks next week.
There should be a rapper named Lil Stoner.
Exactly.
I'm sure there is.
Somewhere there must be.
Ulysses Simpson Grant Stoner. So Ulysses S. Grant Stoner. All right. And nickname Lil. So also known as Lil E. Stoner.
Lily Stoner.
Lily Stoner. There you go. Stoner was also known for his skill in baking and at a growing
marijuana cupcakes.
Exactly.
Where do you think edibles came from?
Why I'm reading it. And skill in baking and at growing and breeding irises.
Irises.
So with the
those don't look like irises.
So with the popularization of the word stoner in cannabis culture, he saw a resurgence of popularity. In 2017 poll by Ranker, he was voted number 9 on a list of the best baseball names. So number 9 on their list, tied for number 2 on ours.
We ranked the stoner even higher.
Exactly. So he played for the Detroit Tigers in 1922 and then 24 through 29. Played for the Pirates in 1930 and the Phillies in 1931. So Lil Stoner tied for number 2. All right. That brings us to also number 2, our other tied for number 2, and that would be Flint Ream. Flint Ream. And this, technically it is his name. His first name is Charles, though. Charles Flint Ream.
Sounds like an HVAC company.
Flint Ream, exactly.
Got my furnace from Flint Ream.
Exactly. He was born in Reams, South Carolina.
Well, there you go.
Coincidence? I'm not sure. He was a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals from 24 through 28, and then again 30 through 32, and then in 34 and 36. Apparently, he needed a year off every couple. And then he played for the Phillies from 1932 and 1933, and then the Braves 34 and 35. So yeah, he only took 1 year off and all of that. So though he was a pitcher, though. Flint Ream, career from 1924 through 1935.
Good for him.
Good for him. Also tied for number 2. All right. That brings us to our number 1 name on our list of top 12 greatest baseball names of all time. And there's no way you're going to beat this name. Pun intended. Dick Pole. Right there. Number 1 name tonight, Dick Pole. Richard Henry Pole is his name. And one of the newer names too. He played for the Boston Red Sox from 1973 to 1976, and he played for the Seattle Mariners in 77 and 78. Dick Pole.
Number one,
a pitcher. And he was a pitching coach, too.
he sure was.
Yeah.
And a pole vaulter.
He did.
Can I just name a few real quick?
I wish you would.
Okay. Here are some that I didn't have a chance to put my list together. I was negligent in my duties, but here's some that are great. Okay. Pussy Tebow.
Yep.
Okay. Chief Bender.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This one I think beats Dick Pole.
Well, if you get them together, though.
Cannonball Titcomb.
Cannonball Titcomb.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Let's look. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's just take a second here. Let's go back. What was the first one? We got a minute or two. Here.
Pussy Tebow. Tebeau. He played 2 games.
Yeah, I
Pussy.
believe it's French, so
Yeah.
Pussy Tebow.
We don't have to go. We don't have to go
Charles,
deep.
Charles, I'm not going to go. I'm just going to look at the name. I want to look at the name. Charles Alston Tebow. So his nickname was Pussy. And let's see how he got the nickname. Anything? Is it there? I don't see it. Doesn't say. Nope. Doesn't say.
Chief Bender was a Hall of Famer. He won 212 games and retired with a 2.46 career ERA.
Chief Bender. Charles Albert Bender. Chief Bender. There you go. And what was the third one?
Cannonball Titcomb.
Cannonball. T-I, spell it.
Titcomb.
I got it. Came up already. I got it.
for the woman who doesn't shave.
And his name. You're bad. Anyway, Liddell N. Titcomb. That's his name. Often referred to as Cannonball Titcomb, was an American baseball pitcher. He played for 4 major league teams from 1886 to 1890. There you go.
Yeah.
The Quakers, the Athletics, the Giants, and the Rochester Broncos.
Ooh,
There you go.
love that team.
Yeah. Any others?
Oh yeah, we got a couple here.
I do these all night. So.
This one I'm just gonna spell Rusty, and his last name was Kuntz.
How does this even happen? We'll go with Kuntz.
Shooty Babbitt.
Hold on. And he was. Hold on, Rusty. He's a coach on the Royals.
Yeah.
He's a coach on the Royals. He's a batting coach, outfielder. Yeah, he's a coach. He's a coach on the Royals right now. Rusty Kuntz, we'll go with. But
Got along famously with Dick Pole.
And I'll give you a couple more.
That's
Wonderful, Terrific Mons. I believe his full name is Wonderful, Terrific Mons.
I'm looking for it. There we go. I got it.
Was that his given birth name?
That is his
believe
name.
so.
Wonderful, Terrific Mons. That's his name.
But was he either of those things?
Here's a good one. Tim Spooneybarger.
Hold on. He actually played. By the way, he's football. By the way.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Wonderful. That's fine. That's a good name though. Wonderful, Terrific Mons.
Okay, here's somebody. We're gonna go to the Montreal Expos now, and this guy has actually been a coach with the New York Mets. His name was Razor Shines.
Razor Shines. Razor Shines. There we go. Anthony Razor Shines. Yeah, that's his name. That's his middle name.
And I mean, I think we have to include Oil Can Boyd.
Oh, Oil Can Boyd, definitely.
I mean, it's yeah. So
there's a few too, and these don't exist, but they're pretty funny. If you ever saw Who's on First,
Yes.
Abbott Costello at the beginning, when they're talking about the fact that these teams, they give players these funny names, blah 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 blah. He says, like Stinky Fields, Goofy Dan, Booby Barber. They're not real, but that was from that. So
there's no shortage of crazy names.
No, not at all. You gotta love it though. But
and then here's one last one, and we'll end it. But
sure.
this guy did play in the league, and his name was Johnny Dickshot.
Johnny Dickshot. There you go. You got it. That's we'll talk more about that later, though. So, Johnny Dickshot. All right.
Hopefully, there's not much later.
All right. Well, are you ready?
Listen, at least we didn't descend into juvenility or anything.
No, not at all.
Johnny
Not at all.
Dickshot.
Johnny Dickshot.
Or Dick Pole.
Dick Pole.
Oh, don't forget about Bobby Penis and
Booby Barber.
I mean, Cynthia Titcomb or whatever his name was. That's pretty funny.
Come on. All right.
Well, that brings us... By the way, the Yankees lost.
There you go. Yankees lost.
All right, so now they're going to win the rest of their games. I said they were only going to lose one more.
There you go. So they're going to sweep the Rays. That's what you're saying.
Sweep the Rays, yeah.
So
take care of business.
So you want to talk about this week's
Who is it? I can't even remember.
Dizzy Dean.
Dizzy Dean. Why don't you let's break it up and you talk about Dizzy Dean.
I'll just give you some stats on Dizzy Dean. We figured we keep up with the theme like we do, whatever the top 10 is, and we haven't done it in a while. And these fun lists we haven't obviously had an old balls for, and we couldn't have an old balls for last week's top 10 list because it was performances in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. So J. Hannah Dean, also known as Jerome Herman Dean, got the nickname. He played for the St. Louis Cardinals from 1930 and then 1932 to 37. He played for the Cubs from 38 to 41, and then the Browns. He pitched another season. He's a pitcher, obviously. Pitched another season in 1947, but he injury shortened his career, and he got into broadcasting. So he was a broadcaster.
He did, didn't he? I sort of vaguely remember that.
Yeah, he got into broadcasting for the Cardinals, the Browns, the Yankees, and then the Braves for a while, and then nationally with Mutual ABC and then CBS, where he first teamed up with Pee Wee Reese and Buddy Blattner. So
that's a good broadcast team.
There you go.
I feel like you got to throw a knuckleball if your name is Dizzy Dean.
I think he did. So, but Dean made his major league debut on September 28th, 1930. On the final day of the 1930 season. That was his major league debut. He earned a complete game win against the Pirates, only allowing 3 hits and 1 run. He did not pitch in the major leagues the following year. Dean pitched his first full season 32 and turned it into a stellar rookie campaign. 191 strikeouts, 4 shutouts, pitched to a 3.04 ERA, led the league with following year, and led the league with 199 strikeouts. Perhaps his finest game came in 1933 on July 30th when he set a modern era record by striking out 17 batters in the first game of a doubleheader against the Cubs. So,
he's pretty good.
He was a pretty good pitcher. Yes, he was. And injuries did shorten his career. But he was a good broadcaster, too, though. So there you go. Dizzy Dean, this week's Old Balls.
Old Balls.
All right. I feel honored you let me do Old Balls tonight.
I know.
It was very nice. Thank you.
Daffy.
Dizzy Dean, Daffy Dean.
Dizzy Dean, Milton Bradley, and Coco Crisp all walk into a bar.
There were a couple other names really quick on our list that you said you didn't do yours, but Pete and I that didn't make them. I'll just read them. Dazzy Vance, Rabbit Maraville.
That's a good name.
Rabbit Maraville. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Bama Rowell. General Crowder.
Oh, didn't we have, so we had a general and
an account.
Account.
A general and account. Wasn't there a colonel or something?
And a colonel or something, yeah.
Colonel Titweiler or something like that?
Colonel Titcomb. Colonel Titcomb. I have General Crowder on the phone.
No, it's Colonel Pussybrush, I believe.
Colonel Pussybrow?
Yeah, Pussybrush.
It's a good thing we're not going juvenile on this.
Yeah, they were a good double play team. Titcomb and Pussybrush.
That's right. They never got along with High Pockets Kelly though.
No. There was Bombo Rivera and Slim Sally too. Was another one.
Oh yeah,
Colonel. There's not enough colonels in sports anymore.
No, there's really not. You don't find many colonels in sports these days. So a couple of sergeants, but no colonels.
Colonel Titcomb now batting.
Exactly. So. Anyway, all right. Well, I mean,
there you go.
There you go. That's it.
That's a good top 10 list.
That was a good top 10 list and a good Old Balls.
Controversial, but good.
There you go. I got some dates for you, and when we might need to be talking about. Yeah, right. Yeah, with Colonel Titweiler. But we might need to be talking about
the name just keeps changing.
You gotta love it. It morphs. It's good.
Next week it's names where our top 10 names that we've made up.
top 10 made up names by
That's
us.
right. That's right.
There you go. Next week's on there's a couple of dates need to let you know when we might need to be thinking about this because we might be needing to
all right,
some
let
other
them rip.
sports. Tuesday, October 12th, the NHL season starts.
Yeah, cares.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Following Tuesday, October
The
19th,
NBA season.
the NBA season starts. So we got a couple of weeks, maybe 3 at this point, obviously.
It's the Islanders' year, Pete. It's the Islanders' year.
I don't like the Islanders.
I know, but you're on the island, and I feel like you should at least root
I
for
should
them.
acknowledge that they can once again almost get there.
Man, you're a
Right.
Devils fan, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might as well root for the
There you go.
Islanders.
You grew up in upstate New York and you live on the island, but you're a Devils fan. I gotta love that.
Devils, all right. Didn't they?
No,
Well,
I'm not saying that's bad. I'm
the
just saying
preseason has started. I think for
preseason started for the NHL started yesterday.
Devils are 1-0, man.
Today,
Wow.
yesterday or today, actually.
No, the thing was, I wasn't a hockey fan when I was younger, and the Islanders, whatever. I didn't know what Long Island was, and it was the Islanders, and then the Rangers were the city team. I think most of my friends were Rangers fans,
Right.
and then the Devils, came to Jersey, so I was like, all right, I'll be a Devils fan because they're
Sure.
New in town, so to speak, and
Yeah,
that was it.
that was it. Glenn
No
Chico
love
Resch.
for the Rangers or Islanders.
Gotta love it. No. I've been a Rangers fan. I've told the story before, but I don't. There's not a lot of teams I hate, but local teams especially. But I did. The quick story is, and I got my Rangers fandom from my father, and I think after the Islanders won it was either their second or their third cup, and it was either 81 or 82. I bought an Islanders pennant. And I had a couple of Rangers pennants hanging up, but I bought an Islanders pennant. I put it up. About 2 weeks later, my father comes up in my room. He says, "What the hell's this?" He ripped it down and never saw it again. So there you go.
Well,
The correct
he shouldn't.
the correct answer is that is a dynasty that you're ripping off the wall,
Right.
and quite possibly the best hockey team of all time.
You would think, yeah, 4 cups in a row. That's something that really isn't done. It's certainly not anymore. But,
Oh, it was done shortly thereafter.
Well,
Well, how many did Edmonton win?
Edmonton won 4, but 4 in
Yeah.
5 years.
4 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but or did they? No, they won 5 out of 6 years. That's what it was.
They didn't win 5. Did
Then
they?
it was 4 out of 4 out of 4 out of 5. Yeah, 4 out of 5. But yeah. So there you go. Interesting. So yeah, we'll be talking a little NHL, a little more basketball, obviously, than NHL, but
and the misery that is the New York football teams.
and the misery that is the New York football teams and anything else. Plus, the bonus here is that we don't have much baseball left to talk about, especially for the Mets.
Well, there's going to be some, no matter what, whether the Yankees are in it or not. We're going to be. I think we're going to have a good playoffs.
No,
this
it's going to
year.
be good playoffs. I'm looking forward to the playoffs.
We're going to be talking about the Yankees until the end of Game 7 of the World Series when they win the championship.
I
You
hope
really think so?
I hope you're right, but I don't think
I
you're
do.
right.
I
You
do.
believe that as a Mets fan, that you really feel that.
I think the Yankees are the 7th best team to maybe get into the playoffs.
All you got to do is get in.
That's right. You got to
Get
be
in.
in it to win it. It's like
Get in, get hot.
the lottery.
Hey, you can go in it with the worst record and the shittiest playing, and you can win it all, right?
Well.
So, that's possible. Why not?
You can't have the worst record.
No, you can get in it with the worst record.
Not the worst record.
The worst record of the teams getting in it.
Right.
That's where I was going with that.
Well,
Not-
someone has to have the worst record.
It's not quite as bad as an NFC East champion record.
Right.
But,
No, of course. So, I mean, what 6-10? The Redskins got. Excuse me, the football team got in.
Dallas is going to win 11 games this year.
Well, I mean, or more. I mean,
Yeah.
that defense keeps playing like it is. Prescott doesn't have to do what he did the other night, and they'll still win games.
Well, they've had one good defensive game.
Well, it was. I mean, and I know it was the Eagles, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, they're playing the Panthers this weekend, and it's in
Without Christian McCaffrey.
without Christian McCaffrey, and it's in
Well, he's
Dallas.
definitely out.
It's in Dallas. He's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Dallas should win that game.
yeah. So all right.
So now we're gonna see what Sam Darnold does.
Sam Bradford Darnold.
Yeah, without
We'll
his,
see. This will be his acid test.
That'd be great. I mean, if there's any week where you want Sam Darnold to throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns, it's this week.
Right. The Jack acid test, as it were. So.
Yeah.
All right. I think we have an over under to do before we.
Oh boy, we're still going here.
Well, what does it take? 3 minutes? For
Actually, you know what? Let's hold off on it because I want to have an accurate number.
You want to recount? Do a recount?
Well, yeah. Well, I think my wife took one.
Oh, there's some tampering. What is she, an Astros fan? I hear garbage can banging in the other room.
There you go. No, that was her banging on a pan saying, "Get over! You got to get out here."
Yeah, I think she was gonna send it to somebody. It's something you could give somebody as a gift, but I don't think she sent it out.
More hints for the. Over-under. Okay, we'll do the over-under next week.
We'll hold off on the over-under until next week.
Hold off, and there we go. All right. Any whatchamacallit, anomalies for the schedule you want to read this week? Or
no Monday night game for the Broncos this season.
No Monday night game for the Broncos. Wow.
Which I think is the first time that's happened in, let me see, I got it right here.
45 years.
We need a little bumper for Pete's anomalies.
Pizza anomaly.
Well, there's only like 2 of them left, so.
There you go.
Your anomaly? We'll find more.
We'll find more.
First time since 1991.
Wow.
And the Broncos had the longest.
First time since 91, and they were in like 3 Super Bowls out of 4 years in
the 80s.
Right before that, and they had no Monday night game. That's weird. Strange.
Yeah.
Strange.
So that's a hell of a streak. That's 20 years.
Yeah. No.
So, yeah, longest active
30.
streak of consecutive seasons with a Monday game before
30 years.
2021. Yeah, well, whatever, man. What am I, a mather?
What did you say? You're not a what?
A mather.
A mather. There you go. I'm not a mather. All right. On that note, we'll wrap up the show for today. I can speak. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you that just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Plus, the show is now available on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the last 4 or 5 baseball games of the regular season before we get to the playoffs. Enjoy all the football this weekend, and we will talk to you soon, folks. Have a good one. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.